welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here with us Monday through Friday between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Of course, we come to you here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Heritage Hill coming to you in the country and in the city. And you can find them by going to 3149 Sweet Road in Pompey for the Heritage Hill Brew House on Palladino Farms. And you can find them at their newest location, which is right there at Sweetheart Corner, a historic corner of Central and Upstate New York on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse. With that being said, here on the broadcast today, we appreciate you being with us up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the world on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt, and of course on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. I'm honored and I'm privileged to have the guests that we get to have throughout the year, and very, very much appreciative of who we're going to have here this morning. Inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', Shaun Smith, who spent over 3 decades with Central New York Lacrosse, coaching in that world and doing so much more. We're going to talk about what he's done, what's going on right now, what's the next step, and what can we expect from the longtime coach that's been here in the community. Him and I have a unique connection. We'll be talking about it today, and I'm going to see if he remembers something that he said to me just a few years back. And then in hour number 2, of course, it is Bearcat time on Tuesdays on Wake Up Call. In our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University, we will have the opportunity to get to know the story of Jadyn Weltz coming to us from the Binghamton Bearcats women's basketball team. She has 2 years of eligibility remaining, but this story today that you're going to see is very unique, as her and teammate Danae Bowman decided to go around the world. They went to Thailand and Indonesia, spent 3 weeks there together. Also, her sister and her sister's friend went over, and we'll discuss the trip, Carpe Diem, aka seizing the day, and just what she's learned about herself and the importance of friendship, teamwork, and much more, including a great conversation about food. Jadyn Weltz coming up at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and then we'll round out the show with food, speaking on the ingredients to success, proudly presented by Avicolli's, and our special topic for today. With that being said, we are picture-in-picture this morning with Shaun Smith. Shaun Smith joining us here of Bishop Ludden, speaking on over 3 decades coaching lacrosse in Central New York, the challenges, the triumphs, and what is next. Mr. Smith, how we doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing very well. You know, the thing about your energy is, you know, like people that know you and are around you and like spend time with you, I can see it. And you and I were talking off the air, and then you have this mellow when you're like on the air. Coach, how are you? Great. Next question. But I want to go back in time to something to see if you remember something that a conversation that you and I had. So
that might be tough.
So going back to 2020, and it was the early part of it. Obviously, it was March, and you and I were talking on stage. At the time, you were the coach of the West Genesee Wildcats boys lacrosse team over at the Wildcat Sports Pub now for almost a full calendar 8 years. And you looked at me. We were playing rapid fire. It was your question asked to me, and I remember you looked at me and you kind of turned your head and you said, so, this COVID thing, this COVID-19 thing, what do you think about it? How long do you think it's going to last? Like, do you think that, you know, this is, you know, what do you think this is? Is this like a real thing that's going to be going on for a while, or what do you think? You asked me that question, and then the world stopped after that. Do you remember that?
I do, because you know, that team, we had so many returners, you know, a bunch of Division I kids, Division II, Division III, and we were firing on all cylinders all year long. You know, we practiced right up to that day, and then, you know, the next day get shut down. And, you know, we just, I guess, kind of, you know, not believing it. Like, oh, we'll be back in April. April 1st was the target date. And then they said, well, maybe 2 more weeks. And it just kept going and going and going, and it just never happened. And I always look at that like, what if, you can always, I guess you can always look back on your life and different things and what if, but what a great group of kids. We had 18 seniors that year. We were just so ready to play anybody. We'd play anybody.
Yeah.
Didn't matter.
Well, and you go back to that moment and you talk about really break it down the fact of your team and painting the picture of a lost opportunity, right? An opportunity that was taken away from the hands of the kids and the hands of the coaching staff, yourself, that has absolutely nothing to do with you. How did you navigate through that with young men saying, you've done nothing wrong, you've played your hearts out, you've practiced your hearts out, you've given me what you could, but this world is in a place right now where we're all kind of up in the air in this state of flux and there's no answers but a lot of questions. How did you handle that?
Well, mental health is a huge uh, issue and topic and everything. So we did a lot of Zoom calls, make sure, checking in on everybody, make sure everybody's okay,
Yeah.
and just get through it, the best we could, help each other. Not only the players helping us, we're helping the players. My coaching staff was great with that. And then we did at the end, got together and got to be able to take senior pictures and a team picture. We had the masks on and everything. And we did have a little get together banquet type thing. Even though there was no season. So, we just wanted to make it as special as possible for all the kids because everything was taken away. Everybody got their shooting shirts and their backpacks and their hoodies and travel pants. And we got special made jerseys with the kids' names on the back. And I'm never that coach to put your name on the back of a jersey ever.
Yeah.
But I thought it was important for those guys for the lost season.
And going through something like that, what did you learn about yourself? Because you, as the leader of this team, you're asked as a coach to be not only a coach, but to be a mentor, to be a teacher, in some cases to be a parent or an uncle, that figure that they can look up to. In a situation like that was so unique, what did you learn about yourself?
Well, that, you got to try to not worry about some things you can't control. Initially it was like, oh, this is terrible. We'll get through this.
Yeah.
Why us? You can always say, why us? Why is this happening? But as a nation and the country, and uh, it just you had to get through it. You had to patience. I think was the key word. You had to be patient with everything, vaccines and where to wear a mask. Where if you didn't have to wear a mask, if you were, golfing, did you have to wear a mask?
Yeah.
All different things. So I think patience was the biggest thing I learned out of the COVID situation.
So for you, I mean, we look down a few years here and, you learn from that and you move forward. The last time that you and I got to sit on a stage together was that moment. So bring us through kind of the trail, the journey of these last few years of figuring out what did you want to do? Where did you want to be? Because you are a community guy and you're somebody who's very caring. You've stayed here for such a long time. You support the people you support. I know that firsthand. So what have these last few years bring us into that journey and what it's been like?
Well, after the COVID shut us down, then we had that season, and it wasn't to the standards that I was hired for. Um, and I take full responsibility of that. I look back at it, when I had the meeting with the athletic director, and talking to him the next day. I talked to my wife and I resigned because I was not doing the job I was hired for. And um, all fault to my own. I didn't do things the way we've always done it. I gave a little more control to my assistant coaches, which I'm a big control guy. Um, and we didn't do exactly what we did the years past and my years at Corcoran and all, leading up to West Jenny. So once I resigned, I didn't think I was going to coach, maybe coach clubs still and things like that. But we'd probably maybe do football or maybe do basketball here or there, whatever it was. And then Joe Fiacchi, who was the football coach at Jordan Elbridge at the time, we coached football together at Henniger and Nottingham, and I've known Joe for a million years. Um, he calls me out of the blue. He goes, "How'd you like to be the lacrosse coach at Jordan Elbridge?" And Jordan Elbridge, they haven't won many games in the last bunch of years, and he kind of talked me into just talking to the athletic director. So I went out and talked to him. So they kind of gave me the whole overview, what was going on. I said, well, let me look around, let me look at the equipment. Let me look at the facilities, just everything. So I came back and met with Dan Stadmiller, who's the AD there. And I had a list of 20 things. And I said, if they say no to one of them, it's really no skin off me.
Yeah.
I can play more golf, and be fully retired.
Yeah.
So every single thing I asked, they said yes to. The superintendent, James Frio, I always mess up his last name. He came in, it's great. He goes, "This is my next coach," and they were a million times supportive for everything. Like I said, I needed, because I believe in having like 300 lacrosse balls at practice, because I don't want to be chasing balls. I want reps and quick and keep moving. I had 700 lacrosse balls to my exposure. Brand new helmets, new jerseys, everything, because we wanted the kids to feel right? Like they belong.
Yeah.
And, don't feel inferior to anybody. Don't feel inferior to Marcellus, Skinny Atlas, the teams that are typically the top of the Ds. And that first year, we got through it in the combination with Ludden kids. And that was one of the things too. I subbed at Ludden during COVID and everything, because Ludden stayed open.
Yeah.
So that was one of my things. You got to, allow these kids to be able to play, and they were all about it. And our first year, we sat down in the locker room at Jordan Elbridge, which their facility is top notch. I think it's the best one around. And I've been around a lot of facilities. So each kid stood up, said what school they're from, where they lived, what position they play, how long they've been playing lacrosse, just to kind of, because, I've done with combinations before. When I started the Corcoran program, we combined with OCS.
Yeah.
So I've had combinations before. And then in the Corcoran program, the powers to be there, and I think it was 2016, decided to make one big city team. So you got to, it's a unique situation to combine kids.
Yeah.
And the kid I'll never forget is Nazir Kinsey. He was from Bishop Ludden, stud quarterback here. I played basketball. I remember seeing him as an 8th grader, because I was, doing the city thing and talking to him. He's going, "Oh, I'm going to Bishop Ludden." So out of the back of my mind, I'm like, "You played lacrosse before." When I saw him at Ludden, I said, you need to play. So he decided to play. He was the one kid that brought that whole team together. They just fed off of him, and that set the tone for the last 3 years. We've had a really close team. I always open the locker room early. Kids come early. My philosophy is, you need to be at least a half hour early before practice. I believe in, the locker room time, that with your buddies, you're going to look back 20, 30, 40 years from now and be like, "Man, remember that? That was so much fun." And, just hanging out. And then, they could see what the practice plan is for the day, because I always put it on the whiteboard. Me and my assistant are available if they need, some equipment fixed or whatever. So that's pretty much that, in a nutshell. Like I said, Jordan Elbridge was extremely supportive. I mean, even this year, they bought us new helmets because I said our modified team looks like a hodgepodge. There's a white helmet, there's a green helmet, there's a club helmet, there's a blue helmet.
Yeah.
And I said, we need to take those helmets. They're only 2 years old, pass them down to the modified, give us the helmets so we're uniformed and our modified will feel better.
Yeah.
So,
and I appreciate that story and that background. You talk about Jordan Elbridge and the connection with Bishop Ludden. Is that how that, like you said, teaching and whatnot, bring me into how Ludden comes into all of this for you, when they came into all of this for you?
So yeah, when I was just subbing here because Leo Cosgrove at the time was the principal, and I coached football with him at Corcoran and taught with him at Corcoran for a million years, and he just reached out to me and said, "How'd you like to sub?" I said, I could fit that in with golfing, and in the winter I'm not golfing, so I could sub, make a little extra money, and do that. And the kids are awesome, and you really learned everybody's name during that COVID year because you had to check them in.
Yeah.
Right. Check the kids in, do the temperature, do the questions. So you really knew exactly who everybody was. And then when the lacrosse came, I knew the numbers were okay at Jordan Elbridge, but not huge. We went into the school and got some more kids. And I'm like, you know what? Let's see if we can bring Ludden kids because there's no lacrosse team here. And the last time they had lacrosse at Ludden was 2018. They were combined with OCS. And they've had a long history of awesome lacrosse teams back in the day.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, let's get them here. So I got 6 kids, excuse me, and 5 of them never played before, not at all. So Nazir played, but he was very rusty. He'd always tell me at practice, "Coach, I can't shoot left-handed." His first goal in the game was left-handed. So. Then we had these other 5 kids that, the one kid, Evan Cervantes, played for 2 years, and he was honorable mention all league both years and never played before. Just picked up the stick. Good. He's playing football at Buff State right now. He's a Ludden kid, just a tough, worked very hard. And then we had 4 other kids that we were trying to figure out what position they play. And they graduate this year. And the improvement I saw from day one to this year, 3 of them are playing college lacrosse next year.
Yeah.
And they never played before. So it's pretty cool to see the improvement, the growth. And, eventually I'd like to get a boys team here. I think down the line, we're trying to build a facility here, right? We're in the stages of getting the renderings, and then we don't get state money, so we've got to raise the money. And I think when that happens, then there's enough alumni that will get the equipment needed to get a boys team. The girls team is easy, right? We have 2 brand new goals that are in storage that I found, and they'll get their own stick, they'll get their own goggles, and that's it. We'll fundraise for jerseys and stuff like that. And I'm in the process of finding a coach. And but it's easy because especially like our girls soccer team is very good here. And one of the better players came to me and said, "Can we get a lacrosse team here?" And we had one girl that went out to Jordan Elbridge this year and played. She's played there the last 2 years, and I give her so much credit for just making jump on, 695 to, out by Camillus and through Camillus, and there you're at Jordan. So it's really not that far, but it's a commitment. So I really wanted to do something for her senior year. And then the soccer girl that came talk to me, I said, well, I need a list of at least 13, 14 girls. And we talked to the girls, and they're committed to playing. And then Grimes already has 6 to 8. So we're looking at probably having a team next year of between 20 and 25, 26 kids, which is good for girls lacrosse.
Yeah, and you here with Shaun Smith, who has been a coach for many, many years in our community and someone who has worked in the athletic world for decades here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. You made mention of this girls lacrosse team and putting this together. And you talked about Grimes a little bit there. The world of, because growing up as a kid, there for me, because I went to Catholic school all the way through. I went to Gingerbread, which was right next to, the nuns, and right there on the north side. Went to Gingerbread for pre-K, and then went to Our Lady of Pompeii, and from there, went on to Christian Brothers Academy. My dad and mom told me your choice are, CBA, Ludden. My mom had gone to Grimes, but I always knew of these three. And when it came to education, it was like, this is where you go for a good education. You learn about God, you continue your faith, you continue your growth kind of in all factors of your life. So when you bring up Grimes and you talk about Ludden, for me as a kid, I was like, oh, they can't bond, right? They're all individual going up against each other. But the fact with girls lacrosse that you had just kind of mentioned there is that putting this team together can be the combination of Grimes and Ludden. I want to go into that a little bit more if you'd like.
Yeah, so I know Bob McKinney and Gallagher Driscoll when he was here, they talked about it and they kind of wrote up a plan and then it somehow fell through. So we kind of revisited it. And when I saw you at Brooklyn Pickle there, that's where we were meeting about, he had signups. I had those girls that we talked to for signups. So it became a realistic opportunity. So what I had to do is get the approval of OHSL, the league.
Yeah.
Because you can't just jump in and say, oh yeah, we'll play independent. It's not how it works. So got the approval, and then I made a schedule with all those teams so no one had to do anything, just check, what they had for their availability when we're playing home or away. And that worked out pretty well. And now I'm in the process of getting non-league games. My assistant coach at one of my assistant coaches at West Genesee, Bill Aldridge, who was the head coach at CNS when I was at Corcoran, he's now the girls coach at ESM. So we're going to play a couple times, and still knowing people that I can reach out to and be like, hey, we got this brand new team. We don't want to play, someone that just came off a state championship, but trying to get this off the ground. And lacrosse is a special ways to get into a college, right? If you look over boys lacrosse, girls lacrosse, and take every other sport, baseball, softball, football, basketball, and you take just Section 3, there's more boys and girls playing Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, JUCO, NAIA, lacrosse than all other sports combined in Section 3. And it's just an opportunity to get in school. Now, a lot of people will spend all this money for club and things like that, which you're never getting back because there's no full scholarships in lacrosse. Each school has 12.6 in Division 1 and Division 2. I think it's 10.8 or maybe even lower. But it's a ways to get into a school maybe that you didn't have before. Yeah. So that's why I kind of push it. And coming out of Section 3, it's one of the hotbeds for lacrosse still, I believe. And great opportunities for all these kids.
So it's happening, right? You're putting this team together. So the question becomes, if it's a combo of Bishop Grimes and Bishop Ludden, what colors do you wear and what does the team get called?
Well, we came up with that too. We're going to go with just a simple black with white or silver for the away jerseys and white with black on the home jerseys. And we're just going to call them bishops.
Bishops.
And on the back of the jersey, we're going to have a little cross. Pretty simple, clean, but it's I think it's going to, it kind of covers both Bishop Grimes, Bishop Ludden.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like it because, like you said, you're utilizing the thing that bonds the two, which is not only part of the name in Bishop Grimes and Bishop Ludden, but also the faith of the two, and having the cross and the connection back to that teaching of the faith, which I think keeps that front and center, which is obviously very important. So this will be section 3. Is it independent for now? I mean,
No,
or
we'll be in Class D.
okay,
And we'll play the Skinny Atlas, Marcellus, CBA, Homer. Also in that is Jordan Elbridge, Mexico, Southern Hills. Trying to think what other schools are involved. So it's a decent, pretty good league, tough league. All the leagues here are really tough. You can't find a league where he's like, oh yeah, we'll win every year.
yeah. Well,
Every league is very tough.
so you have this opportunity now, which I think is really awesome, and I'm excited because I mean it was nice to see you, as always. And then my spider sense went off. I was like, oh, something's happening. And then I was thinking in my head, I'm like, is Shaun coaching again? So, I mean, but here's the thing so you're looking for a girls lacrosse coach. You think boys lacrosse could come down the road. How close are we to having a leader for this girls lacrosse team? And what is the timetable for the boys lacrosse team if the girls one is already happening?
Well, I'm not sure how close we are for the girls. We are interviewing for positions here, right? And then, so I'm in on a lot of the interviews, and of course, we're always looking for coaches because the turnover at Catholic schools is tough sometimes.
Yeah.
So I do have someone in mind that if we hire this person for the position was an awesome high school player and an awesome college player. So hopefully that works. And then with the boys, we're going to wait until we have the stadium. If it comes through, which I believe it will, there's some really passionate alumni that are in this committee that we have, and they believe it can happen. We don't even have a track, for our track team. So I think that's huge to get our track team, which our track coach has been unbelievable, getting the numbers and things like that. But to practice without a track is needless to say, pretty difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to be able to get turf for all the teams, soccer's, football, and now lacrosse, and then have a track for the track and have the facilities just for every team. So say, our softball team is playing Casanovia's got this unbelievably new softball field turf. They can go out there and use that just to kind of get used to it. But, things like that do take some time. So however long that takes to get, once we do get it, I think that's going to also help with enrollment. And then, we'll be looking to add lacrosse pretty much once it's finished. I think I'm looking at it then.
Yeah. And so for now, like you said, with the girls lacrosse team coming together in the here and now, how are you going to work that as you look to build facilities and you look to build enrollment and all these things for the not too distant future? What is the plan of making sure that the girls lacrosse team has what it needs?
So, until they start here, we have our field here. We've got goals, we've got everything. If it was to start tomorrow and they had to dig it up and stuff like that, I know enough people that we can reach out to get turf time somewhere.
Yeah.
Jesse Long, me and him coached and worked together at Corcoran for over 20 years. He's the head of the Syracuse City School District. He'd be the first one I'd reach out to. I know Salve has turf with lacrosse lines on it. They don't even have a lacrosse team. I'd reach out to them. Down in the valley, work with the city of Syracuse. They have turf down there, which we used to practice at for Corcoran at times. So there's many different options, and we do have other fields around here that we could do a makeshift for practice, and we'd have to, we'd be road warriors, kind of like in 2003.
Yeah.
2004. So the spring of 2004, we were our field at Corcoran was getting turf. So we were combined with OCS, so we played all our games at OCS, all our home games. We practiced down in the valley where they had turf, but our home games were at OCS, and we went undefeated that year on at the barn they call it. And so you look. Me and April Wertheim, who was the AD at Corcoran at the time, we looked all over central New York to find different. We practiced at Kings Park in Camillus. One year we practiced all over the place. So, you just, if you hustle and find things, we'll find something for sure.
Yeah, and I love the fact that Shaun, it's since I've met you, you you have this desire. You have this desire and this want to challenge yourself. And I think that the world desperately needs to see that. I think we live in a society where there are people that love to challenge themselves, and then there's other people where you're working at a coffee shop and you're struggling to make a cup of coffee for someone because you just don't want to do it, type of thing. So what pushes you to be the person that you are, to constantly, like, I have no idea how old you are, Shaun. I don't, because to me it's inconsequential to the reality of whether you're coaching or you're an athletic director, which now obviously a Bishop Ludden, athletic director and dean of students. When you're out in the community doing different things, it's like this constant want to challenge. I know you talked about golfing and being able to go out there and relax and have fun, but at the same time, I feel like you're one of those people that's running toward the tornado instead of away from it. So why?
I guess I've always been competitive, so it kind of feeds off of that. And I like to challenge myself. Golf, especially, you would think that'd be the easiest game in the world. The ball's not moving.
Yeah.
It's right there. You got a hole. It should be easy. Never, never easy. You think you got it figured out. Like last week, I shot a great score, and then the day after, I was god awful. So I just, I like challenges. I never back down from a challenge. When I took the West Genesee job, I was honored to be appointed.
Yeah.
I mean, God, how do you follow that legend and Coach Masser? And but I was up for it. I fully jump right in, like you're saying, kind of like the tornado. And the parents were great. A lot of people say, "Well, how do you deal with parents?" And I haven't. I didn't have too many that at least said to me any bad things, but I'm sure there were, like it is in any sport. But um, like you're saying, I like to challenge it. I did phys ed here, and I did it in the city. When I started teaching in the city, that's a challenge in itself, right?
Yeah.
And I think I was born to be a city school teacher. It bothered me that kids didn't have breakfast. I had a basketball player of mine that I picked up from school in the first snowstorm. He comes out with t-shirt and pants and no boots or nothing. So, no way. We're going to DeJulio's and you're going to get outfitted with what you need. And now he's an athletic director at a junior college in Twin Falls, Idaho.
What's his name? What was the name of that?
Daquan Montreal. He
Awesome.
played basketball at Boise State. Actually, when my son graduated from Utah, we were driving back and we stopped to see him and his family because my son would be in the car when I picked up Daquan to go to Little Apples when I had to drop him off. So that night he took us out to dinner, and the next morning we played this unbelievable golf course. Like it was insane. They do on this bridge where the golf course is the only legal place in America they do base jumping from a bridge.
Oh wow.
So it was impressive. And then,
Oh, wow.
got to see his house, and here's a kid that lived, by Shonard Street, right? Growing up, and he changed the narrative. Um, his house is so impressive. His kids have their own 5-piece bathroom in their room. Room's huge. Closet's huge. Closet's bigger than I think my bedroom. But he just wants his kids to have what he didn't have. And him and his wife, I mean, his wife is awesome and their two kids are great. And just to see something like that is why I got into coaching, right? Um, and that's why I love doing what I do or did what I did. But it doesn't stop. I still get calls from kids. Kids, they're not kids now, they're adults, and hey, I'm in town, can we meet up? Or, I'll be in we went down, me and my buddy Rod Nicholas went down to North Carolina to watch SU and North Carolina play. I'm a big North Carolina basketball fan. We got to go to SU practice, got to be on the North Carolina court, so I was pumped. So it turns out 5 of my former players were at that game. They lived down there.
Yeah.
So I reached out to them during Facebook during the game, and we met up and we went to a place in Cary, North Carolina, and just talked old time. And seeing this Kevin Williams, who played basketball at Clarkson, who lives in where's he living? He lives off the Neuse River, Clayton, North Carolina, and he's got 2 kids and a wife, and just killing it. Awesome. And then just Jason Sharp lives down there, and again, just go getter. And we try to, hey, I'll get this. He goes, nope, no, your money's no good here. And then another kid, Kevin Young, who played basketball for me, talking about how his son is really good and he lives down there. And it was just really cool to see those guys. I still contact, I'm in a lot of contact with Cedric Stevens, who's the ITC football coach. He played for me, and he played at where did he play? Now I'm drawing a blank. Tennessee Chattanooga. But he went to, I can't remember where he played before that. But he's doing a great thing in the city, and Raquan Pride has been his assistant, and he played at Rhode Island, and he's doing great things for the city and ran for office. And just seeing guys like that, and that's kind of the passion I have to let me try to help you change what's going on, change your life, change, to at least be a vessel to help you. And that's kind of what my motto's kind of been. So like being the athletic director here, I want to improve the school.
Yeah.
There's so many passionate people at this school, and we're lacking resources. It's that's the Catholic education, right? You just don't have the resources. So we have so many people that volunteer and help, and they do a ton of fundraising. But our enrollment's going up, and the passion of, we just had 2 teachers that have been here for 40 years just retired. I mean, you just don't find that. And the teachers here are great. They work very, very hard. We've got teachers in here right now doing some painting during the summer, just to help out.
Yeah. And it's, you talk about that, but that brings me back. It brings me back to Our Lady of Pompeii, and just what people were willing to do, painting. I mean, it was normal. It was normal
Right.
to see teachers there all the time. It was normal to see, the parents there. And when I think about my education, when you ask me like what teachers had the biggest impact on your life, the teachers that come to mind first are elementary school. Mrs. Kuno, Mrs. Jacks. Mrs. Jacks is my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. Kuno, my 3rd grade teacher. They support me to this day. They write to me on social media. They'll see the work that I'm doing, and I'm absolutely blown away. Like, I did a trivia event at Destiny USA. Mrs. Jacks was there. I did one out in Beeville, and Mrs. Kuno was there. And I told them this, and I mean it wholeheartedly. I love them. I mean, they helped to raise me. And I didn't come from a bad family. I have a wonderful family. But I had teachers that raised me. And I think, everything that you're saying here, I have so many questions, and I know there's so many roads we could go down. And while you're speaking, I'm sitting here going, I have to have Shaun back on. I have to, for goodness sake, I got to give the man a segment just to talk about the people whose lives, that you see today after everything that they've been through. Those young kids that you said are now, look at what they've made of their lives. Look at what they've done, from having no boots to having, this beautiful house and this wonderful family, and to be leading their own athletic department. I mean, those stories need to be told, Shaun, because I think people see the finished product, or what they think is the finished product, but they don't see how hard it was to get there. Every single person who has anything worth having in life went through hell somewhere, goes through hell still to today, maybe in certain things, fights battles all the time. And that's why I think the education, for me personally, the faith above everything, faith plus education has the opportunity to change lives. And if you have the right people around, you can make a difference. And I love hearing this morning. I had you on the show today because I had every intent to, just catch up with you and catch up with somebody who I respect and I appreciate. But I didn't anticipate the fact that there would be so many teachable moments within this conversation that have really made me pause. I've seen it in the comments here of people just thinking you're the best coach ever, people appreciating, how informative and good of a message this is this morning coming from you. So I want to thank you first and foremost, and I do want to make sure I get to the greatest challenges and the greatest triumphs that you've had. I know that there are probably many examples for you to give, but if there's a challenge and a triumph that you could share with us this morning of being a leader of people and trying to be a vessel of hope and opportunity, I'd love for you to share those today.
Probably the greatest challenge was just when I was teaching in the city, right? To try to, with every kid, not just athletes, every student that I taught, to try to help them understand the importance of education, and to, not necessarily go to college, maybe go to the trades. We have a lot of kids that have gone to the trades, and that's probably the way to go right now. I think that was the biggest challenge, and you fail on so many ways. So many kids don't make it out, don't graduate, get incarcerated, whatever it is. So that kind of hits home, you see things like that, like maybe I could have done something better to help this kid. You want to believe everybody's savable, but not everybody is, but you try.
Yeah.
Probably the greatest triumph besides, my wife and kids. That's a tough one. I think it's still yet to be, well, no, I think my greatest triumph are those, like we talked about, the former players of mine that have gone on and are hugely successful. I have so many kids that played lacrosse for me now coaching college lacrosse. Marty Ward's the head coach at Florida Southern. Derek Eccles is an assistant at Siena. Sean Eccles is an assistant at NJIT. And to see that, and I tell these kids all the time, right? I said, I got into education to help, my job makes it all worthwhile. The money, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's when you come back and tell me or introduce me to your family, right? This is what I'm doing. Here's my wife and kids, or whatever it is. Here's my dog, whatever. I think that's the biggest triumph besides my wife and kids that I could take away.
You get me emotional here this morning, Shaun. Don't be doing that. So the final thing here, it's been a minute since you and I have done this. We're here inside of the Heritage Hill Studios on Wake Up Call with a friend, Shaun Smith, and we're going to play some rapid fire because you and I and so many of us here today through COVID know how difficult of a battle that was, the millions of lives that were lost during that, and hopefully the knowledge and wisdom gained of that time, that life is precious, and that sitting on a stage with a coach and their student athletes is something to really just appreciate. I never thought ever that I would not be able to do my high school broadcasts. That to me was unheard of. And like I said, you were that last show on that stage until I saw Joe Corley a few months later down the road. So we're back to rapid fire. You get the first question.
Well, let me say, I know this is your dream job, dream position. If this never happened, what would be your backup dream job?
It's interesting. I would say, well, there's a lot of things that I'm working on, and they're all part of this great big dream that I have. So I'll go somewhere else. I grew up as a little kid, made my own sneakers, designed my own sneakers in third grade at Our Lady of Pompeii. I still have them somewhere, and my dream, I'm 5'8", but I can shoot. And I got recruited to play D3 at Marywood University. I was coming off of a very not great experience with a coach my senior year in high school. And so I decided to not go out for the team, but I did talk to the coach. And then I got called in to broadcast, and the rest is history. So if there were a parallel universe where I did play D3, and I would love to have continued it. I would have loved to have played overseas. My dream was to play for the Toronto Raptors, and I'm Damon Stoudemire, 20. My number's 21. I understand that 5'8" is out of my control, but my work ethic's in my control. I think my appreciation for cardio is so much different now and better now. I hated running as a kid. If you put a basketball in my hand, I'd play forever. But if you put me on a track, I just didn't want to do it. And not even that I didn't want to do it. I just felt like it was so much. Like, how can I do this? I'm not a runner. And so I think if I went back in time, and played D3 at Marywood, and then maybe tried to do something overseas or something like that. I mean, I still love the game, and you know this. I mean, you've been around lacrosse forever. I love basketball. If I see a basketball, I want to dribble it. If I see a hoop, I want to make a shot. There are 3 gyms located in different areas of central New York where I have a witness at every single one of them, where I have where I have taken my first half-court shot in that gym and made the first one. So it's in my blood, Shaun, and I honestly, the more and more I think about it, and I understand that I do a lot of things that people wonder when I sleep. And sometimes I, look at the clock like, okay, but there's a world where I am kind of getting an itch to coach basketball. Even if it's on a younger kid scale or whatever, or a summer league, because I had a lot of fun in summer leagues that I did here in Central New York. I won MVP in a championship out in Marcellus, for goodness sakes. But there's an itch. I think it's the first time I've publicly said it out loud, but there's an itch. There's definitely an itch. My question back to you, Shaun, is I don't think we've talked about food before. So I want to know, if you were on a deserted island and a helicopter would just bring you, like, literally you're being held at that island for whatever reason, but every day they would drop a meal, but it had to be the same meal every day. What meal would suffice for Shaun Smith on a deserted island?
That's easy. It's Cajun chicken Alfredo.
Cajun chicken? I've never gotten that answer. Where did that come from?
Oh, well, you ever been to Lucky Sevens on the north side?
Yes.
Every once in a while they make it. It's unbelievable. And I just love Alfredo. And the Cajun spice kind of kicks it up a little bit. anytime I go to an Italian restaurant, I always get chicken Alfredo. Throw some broccoli in there to be the healthy part. That's not very healthy, but that is my absolute favorite. Doesn't agree with me all the time, but I would eat that every day. That'd
Cajun
be
chicken.
500 pounds.
Cajun chicken Alfredo. I like it. What's your next question for me?
Now, let's see. Hmm, that's a good one. So with this, the weather in Syracuse,
Yes.
if you had any other place to live, I don't know if you like the cold as much or the heat, where in the world, where would you choose to live? And it can't be Syracuse.
Yeah, no, so my second home is Florida, so I won't choose that because I'm there a lot. I would honestly, man, I mean, I feel like I'd want to tell you I'd live on some, beach in Italy, but and I like the warmth and I like beaches, but y'all are going to hear this in the next segment. I'm I'm in love with Toronto. I am a Raptor fan since the logo came out on May 22nd of 1994 and they started playing in 95. I just love Toronto. I love walking around the city. I love the sights. I love the different things that are kind of like hidden that you have to find. I just think it has so much. And I mean, to wake up and go cover the Raptors, to be with a good friend Leo Routens who's up there, I I feel like I would probably say Toronto because I've jokingly, not jokingly said that I kind of want to get dual citizenship so I could just function back and forth because it's only 4 hours away. It's like four and a
Right.
half or something like that for Toronto from Syracuse. So I guess I would say Toronto. And I kind of surprised myself a little bit, but yeah, I think I would say Toronto. My question back to you, Mr. Smith. Hmm. If you Okay, let's have some fun with this. I've had other coaches do something of this factor or of this style. If you were running for president in 2024, who would you choose to be your vice president, and what is the first thing that you would do?
Hmm. Well, that's tough for vice president. I know a lot of people would pick famous people.
Yeah.
I think I'd pick my wife. She she's a social studies history buff. I mean, talks politics, watches, is so involved where I am not. Um, and I think she would be very good at it. Uh, she's very diplomatic to everybody, always trying to please everybody. Um, and then what was the second part? What would be the first thing I would do?
Yep.
Well, like everybody else, you say these campaign promises and your hands get tied with special interest groups and things like that. But I would think the biggest thing would be, uh, try to control inflation. You know, it costs so much to go to the store now, and gas prices are out of control,
Yeah.
and housing is insane. So just to try to get that back, like I remember when we bought our second house when we moved to Camillus from Daltonville. Our interest rate was really low. I mean, when we first got married, it was high. It was like 13%, I believe. Um, then when we moved to Camillus, it was like, I want to say 5%, but then we refinanced at 2.5%. I mean, you can't touch that right now. I think that would be the focus is to, try to provide the American dream for everybody and, bring down the interest rate, make groceries affordable, and gas affordable. So, everybody can have that luxury of just owning a home and living the American dream.
Yeah. I always say if you have common sense, whatever they're saying to you is better. You go to the grocery store, you go to the gas station, you live in communities, you know the truth. Your life that you're living is the truth. Your final question for me, Shaun.
I would probably say, so you have this basketball passion. Uh, if you could, right now, Coach Autry's looking for an assistant.
Yeah.
Could you say he even hired you? What would you bring to that table? What would you think your role would be for that team?
Honestly, I think, Syracuse's program with so much turnover and transfers, I think the thing that I can bring beyond everything is my honesty, my integrity, my morals, and my values to really sit down and tell these kids the truth on the recruiting trail and tell them what the situation is, what I'm looking for, what we need, what's asked of them, the education that they're going to get, what is going to be, when it's a practice and everything in general. I mean, I think what I would bring to the table is honesty and relationship. And I think that that's what we desperately need in today's collegiate model is, relation. If I've learned anything about the world and I've learned anything about leaving the businesses that were set up and whatever to start my own, it's that honesty, integrity, faith, and relationships and care for people, genuine care for people, it beats everything every time. It might take some time, but when you are a relationship builder, no one can defeat you. And I think that that is the first thing that I would say to these kids. I think basketball wise, yeah, I could teach you things. I could close my eyes and hear them sneakers and, get lifted off the ground. But I think the biggest thing that Adrian Autry could use immediately is me being very real, very honest, caring about these kids, and when I say I'm going to be there, actually showing up and remembering their birthdays, asking them how mom's doing when I find out that mom's in the hospital, saying to one of the kids, you know what, instead of you making this 4-hour trip back home to see your grandmother, why don't I go with you? Why don't I drive you? Why don't we spend some time in the car together? Why don't we both go see grandma? Okay? Why don't you rest in the car? You just went through finals. Why don't you relax? You sleep. I'll drive. And then let's go spend some time with the people that matter most to you. I relationships will always win. And the builders of those will always be the ones that sustain whatever you consider success.
That's perfect.
My last question for you, thank you, sir. My last question for you, Shaun. Okay, you got to choose one of these three. You talked about base jumping, so you can be a base jumper, a stand-up comedian, or a lion tamer. Which one do you think you'd be most successful at and why?
Probably stand-up comedian because I'm full of baloney half the time anyways. I'm always, I try to keep practices light. I try to keep meetings light. I do it, all the time, like it's funny when I was at Cork and all the kids, they say, oh man, you got a big head. Man, no kidding, but you're ugly, whatever, you know. So it's kind of who I am type of thing, you know. So I think, base jumper, I don't even like to fly, let alone doing that. So I wouldn't do that, that's for sure. Lion tamer, that'd be kind of cool. Again, talk about a challenge. Holy cow.
Yeah.
But comedian, I think it's tough. You gotta feed off the audience and things like that. And we actually just went to a comedy show a couple of weeks ago. Me and my wife went to the Keenan Wayans when he was at Destiny, and I just appreciate what they do and how you keep it rolling. If something, someone from the crowd says something, you got to kind of roll with the flow and things like that. And coaching is that way a little bit. You can't predict what's going to happen in a game, so you got to adapt. And the team that adapts the best is the team that wins. So it's kind of like at the end of the performance, you get a big round of applause. You won.
Yeah. No, and I agree. And I think if people realize anything in life, you could be a janitor. I mean, you could be doing anything in the world. And there will always be haters, there will always be naysayers, there will always be hecklers. And you have to learn to live with that because, as I tell people all the time, if you look at a heckler for simply what they are, a person who is too afraid to get on the court, the field, the track of life, and actually play, if you see a heckler for just being somebody very jealous that they don't feel like they have what it takes to stand on that stage and they don't believe in themselves, when you see that, you end up feeling sorry for them. And as mean as they are, as rude as they are, as crass as they can be, the reality of it all is I always picture life like a stadium. 70,000 seats of a bunch of people saying they could play better. And then if it's a football game, 22 people on the field. And if there's 22 people on the field and 70,000 people having thoughts and comments, I would rather be one of the 22 people actually living than the 70,000 people saying that they would do a really good job at something they're never going to do. Right. So you got to listen, you got to be able to go out there and challenge yourself. You got one life to live. Don't live it in the stands. Shaun Smith, appreciate you so very much. Lacrosse in Central New York, challenges, triumphs, what's next? Athletic Director and Dean of Students at Bishop Ludden. And I said this before, but I mean it wholeheartedly. You and I got to get together for lunch. There's more conversation to be had, but you are an incredible gift that this community has, and I will stick by that.
Well, thank you, Dan. I appreciate being invited. I always enjoyed the shows when we were at West Genesee, and to be invited to come back on, I was like, oh, when it went away, I was like, oh, maybe someday I'll be back on again. And now it's happened. So this is kind of cool. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate your support and your positivity over the years, things that I've never asked you to do. And you've shown up in so many ways, and I notice it and I see it, and you get the same back from me. I think anytime I mention you, I always go, Shaun Smith. I go, yeah, he's a good guy. Always good to me. Always a good guy. And it's just one of those things when you could say that very simply about somebody is, I appreciate him, good person, always appreciated my time with him, and I said that recently talking about West Genesee. I'm like, he always made himself available. He was easy to talk to, and you continue to be that way. So thank you for what you're doing, and I can promise you that you and I will talk soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, Dan.
Take care, Shaun. That coming from Shaun Smith one more time, the Dean of Students and Athletics Director at Bishop Ludden here in our community of Central and Upstate New York. For those of you being patient, our special coming up in the Bearcat Breakroom is coming up right after this fast break inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. This is Wake Up Call, and the Bearcats take center stage next during Bearcat Time in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University. Jadyn Weltz of Binghamton Bearcats women's basketball joins me next. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the taste of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com. Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Brian and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Brian and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Brian's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Brian's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Here is a special message from Brian Bruno, owner of Servomation Refreshments Incorporated.
I grew up in the family business.
Here it-
I had the experience of working for a national food service company with thousands of employees, and as much as I enjoyed the experience I had, there was something about owning my own company and being able to change the things I saw wrong with the industry firsthand, which is why I moved back to my hometown in Canastota, New York, to launch Servomation. It was back in 2007. When we first started the business in 2007, really you didn't find any machines with credit card readers. There's a lack of variety in machines. You got stuck with basically whatever the vending company wanted to sell that day. There's a lot of inefficiencies in the business, and those were all things that we saw as opportunities, both from a customer level to improve and from an operating level to be more efficient. We've really been at the forefront of introducing retail technology into our space. We were doing self-checkout back in 2009 before it really became a national phenomenon. The whole point of it isn't to just improve the customer experience. It's to make it feel more like a retail environment where people don't have to be afraid of what they're buying behind glass. They don't have to be afraid of not being able to see the ingredients of the packages. It was an easy transaction from that standpoint. If we were to reinvent something, we wanted to make sure what we were making looked and felt more like a deli and not like something that you would traditionally see in a vending machine. I was tired of hearing for years the customers say the wheel of death because the vending machine would circle around with the same tuna salad in it. What we wanted to do was it really changed the perception of that food. So allowing customers to touch it, allowing customers to feel the weight of it, allowing customers to see the freshness of it, and also the variety of it really helps them change the perception and ultimately the value of what we bring to them. The point of differentiation you have to make is either in value or the quality. And I think on both of those fronts, Servomation has really, in large part, changed that value system for employees. So they no longer have to worry about bringing their food from home or having to leave their desk during the day and rush out to get back in time for their break to end. We're bringing something that they can count on in their break room every day, and they know it's going to be there, they know it's going to be fresh, and they don't have to worry about it being sold out or something that they don't enjoy. We've also heavily invested in flavored water machines, so you can get a glass of water with a fresh piece of fruit in it, along with bean to cup coffee machines. So there's not a day that goes by we're not surprised when we get customers that call us and say, we didn't know you could do all this. We're really lucky to have a strong group of dedicated employees. Most of our employees have been with us since inception. They're family to us, and people like doing business with people they like and trust. And I think the same thing goes for employees. In a day and an age where there's a lot of corporations that just look at an employee as a number and don't get to know them, that's just not the way I was raised or how I like to do business. So we're a little old-fashioned. We like getting close to our employees. We like knowing how we can help them. We like knowing how we can improve their lives, adjust their schedules, whatever it may be to help improve their quality of life. And we think in the end that makes for a happier employee. We're fortunate enough to have really grown over the last several years, and from Pennsylvania to Massachusetts to Connecticut, we really do have a strong connection, even though we're not in the rooms every day with these employees. There's not one single employee that we feel like we don't know, and certainly we know they can call us at any time, and they're definitely treated as family to us. I wake up every single day really excited to surprise our customers in a good way. The one thing I can tell you is I think that every one of our employees and every one of our customers will continue to be at the forefront of every decision we make.
Find out how Servomation can help you and your business by going to servomation.com. Welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in this very special edition of the Bearcat Breakroom. I am honored and privileged to be with you inside of the Heritage Hill Studios and Binghamton University, our partnership, exclusive multimedia marketing partnership, providing for you weekly content with Binghamton University's student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year. I'm picture in picture with Jadyn Weltz here of the Binghamton Bearcats women's basketball program. For the first time ever, I get to welcome Jadyn to the show. So, Jadyn, how are you?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, and your hair is a little bit longer than mine. So, I was like, I'm noticing that. So not everybody grows it out these days. So I have to ask this because it's on my brain because I appreciate hairstyles and whatnot. Do you keep it? Will that be that long for the games? And how do you wear it when it comes to game day?
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely will be this long. I like to grow out my hair, and then sometimes I just like to cut it short out of nowhere. But yeah, for games, I like to keep it long because I like to change up my hairstyles a lot. I've had fans and family friends come up to me and say, what is your hair going to look like the next game? And I'm not really ever sure, but, I like to switch it up from braids, ponytails, and buns. So yeah, the long hair will definitely stay for the season.
You said buns. I got to ask you a controversial question. Is the man bun okay?
I think many people can definitely pull it off, so I don't want to cancel it just yet because I have seen some people do it. So yeah, if you can rock it, it's all right.
My answer is no. So it's a very plain and simple no. But yeah. So in when we look at going into the basketball side of things and what's coming up now, you and I were talking a little bit off the air, but I want to get into something really interesting. And it's something off the beaten path that is a really cool story. Danae Bowman has been on the show a ton, and I definitely have already pushed for her. I know she just finished, but I already pushed for her to be in the Bearcat Hall of Fame. I talked to John Hartrick, who oversees it. He said that is a no question thing. So I told Danae, I said, you're getting in, because if you don't get in, I don't understand what the Binghamton University Hall of Fame would be. So you spent some time with Danae, obviously, as a teammate over these past few seasons, but you've also spent time with her elsewhere. And there's this whole world of being in Thailand and Indonesia together and hiking through these beautiful sites that most people only see on Instagram. So I want you to bring me into, first and foremost, your relationship with Danae Bowman and how did all of this come about?
Yeah, absolutely. Danae and I go way back for the past 3 years, not only as teammates, but as friends, as you say. We spent a lot of time together, both on and off the court, and I'm proud to say I would consider her one of my closest friends. Evidently, traveling across the world, you have to be a little bit close with the person, but no, I value her as a person and a player very much, and I think that I decided she was kind of the person I wanted to, embark on this adventure with, just because of the close bonds and memories we've shared over the years, and to kind of as a last hurrah before she left me in Binghamton, I think we decided we wanted to go on a trip, and we weren't really sure what that trip would look like. But after some influence from some of my family members and just kind of the dream to travel to these unique places, we decided that we would go to Thailand and Indonesia.
And this just happened,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
very recent in May,
yeah,
right?
yep, May, end of May.
So yeah, so I'm looking at this right now, making this decision to go and do this. Why? I know you said your friendship dictated the fact that you wanted to do this with Danae, if you're going to do it with anybody, but why this specific trip? I know I'm looking at for 3 weeks in May. You went hiking in Thailand and Indonesia, and just kind of getting away here to have this trip, which obviously created a lot of new memories for you both. Why these places? Why go hiking? Why this trip, which was almost a month overseas? You said that it was easy to pick Danae because of how close you are, but bring me into the why for the trip.
Yeah. So this trip was definitely a different experience, one that I've never had. It was a backpacking trip, so everything we needed for the span while we were gone was in the comforts of a backpack. So I knew I couldn't just pick anybody. Definitely somebody that could be very minimalistic with their choice of clothing. But also just somebody that I knew would want to be active and, like to go hiking and enjoy kind of the physical activity behind it. The reason we chose these spots is because we actually met my sister and her friend on this trip, and they had kind of done most of the planning, and they had chosen this just as also a dream bucket list kind of location for them.
Yeah.
So we ended up meeting them a week into their travels and just kind of worked through the itinerary as a group of four and decided what we wanted to do, what we wanted to see, and just went from there.
And some background on this for those that don't know, and I definitely didn't. Thailand is a country located in Southeast Asia, 8,800 miles and 11 time zones away from Binghamton University. It's part of the Indo-Chinese Peninsula and borders the nations of Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam. Located just 15 degrees north of the equator, Thailand has a tropical climate with an average temperature between 66 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. There's a little bit of a difference there. Indonesia is a nation located directly south of Thailand, and it consists of between 17,000 to 18,000 islands and borders both the Pacific and Indian Oceans. Indonesia is located right on the equator, and its islands make up the 14th largest nation in the world by area. Bring me into the sights and sounds and just what these 3 weeks, because I mean, most people that are watching and listening, especially those people in upstate New York and in the Northeast, a lot of them probably have no idea what Thailand and Indonesia look like, let alone have been
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, absolutely. Myself, I'm from Canada, so this was just like out of the ballpark of what I'm used to. Like you said, the temperatures can certainly get up there, and we were definitely blessed with beautiful weather while we were there. So definitely a lot warmer that time of year than it was in upstate New York, but
Yeah.
just the climate itself was beautiful, but also just the scenery. Everywhere you go, you're looking at waterfalls, you're looking at mountains, you're looking at jungles, and even their animals that they have just roaming around is so unique to what we're used to. It's not deer and squirrels, it's elephants and monkeys. So I mean, that was just itself was just such an experience, and being able to kind of put ourselves in that situation and just see what their life and their perspective looked like was really interesting and really moving to be a part of.
You said that this whole trip was born out of Emma having this on her bucket list, your sister. So when she said to you, like, hey, let's do this, I already got my friend coming, and then you reach out to Danae, when did you know that I mean, how long did you know that this was kind of on your sister's bucket list? And when she approached you about it, how quickly did it take for you to go, yeah, why not? It's the summer, I got some time.
Yeah, it definitely started as a joke. They had been planning this for long before Danae and I decided to join. I think it was Christmas. I went home and they were kind of talking about their plans, and I was just sitting there kind of listening in, and I was like, yeah, what if I just come? Like, that would be fun. Like, what if I just hopped on the plane and joined you? And they were like, no, like you should. Like, no, all jokes aside, you should look into it.
Yeah.
So I started looking at flights, and then I was like, well, would I go alone? Would I bring someone? And that's kind of when I knew Danae's love for travel and her aspirations for travel started becoming more visible to me. So I thought, like I said, as one last memory before parting ways for a little bit, it would be exciting to bring her along. So it started as kind of a joke and maybe not so serious about it, but then we started looking at flights and kind of how it would be possible, and with exam schedules and school and basketball all considered. So when things started to align and work out, we said why not, and we took the opportunity.
Yeah, it's funny because so many people will say they're going to do something, right? They're oh yeah, like you said, oh I should come along, and someone goes oh yeah you should, and then it just kind of disappears. This is one of those live in the moment, don't regret things, don't look back, look forward type of thing. Has this always been your personality? Has it always been who you are, Jadyn, as a person, to just kind of in the moment, if you believe that something's right, if you believe that something would be a great experience for you, are you one of those fly by the seat of your pants, like, hey, let's just go do it? I don't want to think about it too much. I just want to kind of, because I mean, school had just finished up, and so
Yeah.
to be in a situation like this, for you, are you that type of spontaneous, living in the moment type of person?
So, all honesty, before this trip, I would tell you probably not. I've been very organized, like, need to have a plan, need to know what we're doing, like, love itineraries and scheduling. And I think this whole journey has kind of taught me that I do want to, embrace that live in the moment type personality more. And I think ever since deciding I wanted to do that trip, I've kind of lived that out a little bit, which has been fun. Definitely still love my routine and my organization part of myself, but yeah, I like you said, like why not do it? I'm only this age once. I only get this opportunity maybe once to kind of do it, and if I was able to do it, I might as well. So I think my sister's great for that, and I think she probably rubbed off on me a little bit to kind of join her. But I think I've learned a lot about myself in that journey, and just kind of living my life is what I want to do moving forward, and hopefully that if an opportunity like this comes again, I'll take it with no hesitation.
Yeah, and like you said beforehand, you would have said maybe you're not this type of person, but after the fact of this experience, what did taking this trip with Danae and with your sister and really all four of you together, with obviously your sister having had planned the trip with a friend already, what did this do to kind of unlock something in you? If you're leveling up essentially and expanding your horizons, who's Jadyn Weltz today as opposed to who Jadyn Weltz was a couple months ago?
Yeah, I definitely would say I still like to plan things out, but this taught me, like, if you want to do something, just do it, be in the moment. Like there was a lot of times maybe we didn't have a plan for the day, then we saw something cool we wanted to do on the street, or through an excursion or something like that, and we just kind of took that opportunity, and we thought, why not? We're here. You don't travel all that way to just sit in a hotel room, so we really wanted to get out and explore, and I think that's the type of person I've always been, is one that loves to try new things, that loves to explore, that loves to get outside of my comfort zone, and just try things because I have the ability to do so. So I think moving forward, and sitting here today, I can say that I'm somebody that is not afraid to get pushed outside their comfort zone, and who's not afraid to take risks and try things, just because I might not get that opportunity to do it again. So.
And getting this opportunity to do it with a teammate and a friend, Danae Bowman, knowing that the bittersweetness of you're taking this trip, but when you get ready for this upcoming season, Danae will not be there on the team. She's finished up her time. You have a couple of years left that you can play college basketball. So as you get set for another season as a Binghamton Bearcat on the women's basketball squad, what does that kind of do to factor into all of this? Looking at Danae saying, yeah, I mean, obviously we're going to be friends forever and we could do things together, but knowing that this is the only time that you both can say that you took a trip coming off of a basketball season together in the sense of college, because she won't be on the team next season after she's finished up her time.
Yeah, it's a really special feeling, honestly. Like you said, it was kind of that last moment we could share in that position together. But I give a lot of credit to her. You know, she's been a great friend to me. She's been a great leader and a great mentor for me on this basketball team and in life. Honestly, I think she's prepared me in ways she doesn't even know, and she's kind of passed the torch along to me, and I get to watch her succeed in her life and move forward in her journey, and I get to keep living out the one that she just left. So, I mean, I think a lot of her wisdom and her knowledge has hopefully, since she might be a Hall of Famer one day, has spread to me a little bit, and that I can kind of keep working on what she started and keep growing the Binghamton name the way that she did.
You know, and you look at Danae being a guard on the team, you're a guard as well. I want to give a shout out to the fact that I'm 5'8", you're 5'7", and I appreciate everybody that lives in that world. I want some respect to be put on those names, but just what you could say about the upcoming season and what you love about being in the backcourt playing basketball.
Yeah, being a guard's not easy, especially when you're 5'7" in a predominantly tall sport. But you find ways to make it work, and that's kind of what I like about. I mean, I'm a guard, sometimes point guard, and I just kind of like, you know, getting to see the game at a different perspective and being, you know, the one to control the offense, the one to bring everybody in, and just trying to be that leader on the court. And I'm excited for this season. You know, we have some new faces, some new teammates, and I'm excited to see what we can do and how my role on the team can contribute to our success in the future.
When you're going through change, and like you said, you're a planner, but you can't plan everything, and this trip obviously showed you that. Another thing that you can't plan is you had last season with Beth Ann Shapiro-Ord as your head coach. This season, you have Mary Grimes. She spent 3 years as Lemoyne's head coach, and before that had 2 stints as an assistant. And seeing what she's done in her time at Lemoyne, making a national postseason tournament in all 3 of those 3 seasons, including this transition to D1, Mary Grimes comes there with her staff. And in putting that staff together, there's also transfers that come in, including Kaya Good, who was playing for her at Lemoyne. So what can you say about this transitionary moment? And as you just went on a trip where you couldn't prepare for everything, knowing that on the basketball court at Binghamton and in life, you can't prepare for changes, and knowing that you have a new coaching staff as well as some transfers coming in.
Yeah, I think I touched on a little bit earlier. I said I'm not one to kind of shy away from fear or change or discomfort in any way. So I think moving forward, change is not a bad thing. And I'm excited for this opportunity to get to do what I love to do. And I'm just going to keep looking through the front mirror of the front window of the car and not in the rear view mirror. And I think that being able to just show up and you know, work hard and contribute to my role as much as I can is what's important, and not dwelling on anything or, you know, living in fear and, you know, not knowing what's going to happen and living in uncertainty is just going to hold me back and, you know, delay some time for my own success and our team's success. So I think, you know, moving forward with the changes that we have, I'm just going to embrace them and take every day as an opportunity to get better, to help my team, to help myself, and honestly to get a winning championship at the end of the day.
Yeah, we know that you obviously have some time there to do that. Bearcat Breakroom here with Jadyn Weltz, coming to us from the Binghamton Bearcats women's basketball program on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Before we get into rapid fire, where you and I get to put each other on the hot seat, I want to go specific Thailand, specific Indonesia. Bring me into Thailand, and I want to know the best moments specifically from Thailand. And you talked about animals in sight. So I want to know the best moments in Thailand, and I want to know the coolest animal and the
Okay.
scariest get away from me animal that you saw in Thailand?
All right, yeah, I got it already unlocked. So Thailand was beautiful. Everything from scenery to the food. Food I could talk on for an hour alone, but it was just amazing. Coolest animal was definitely an elephant. We got the chance to bathe and feed elephants, so that was surreal. Scariest animal would be a poisonous scorpion or a poisonous snake that we were within a couple feet of. So that wasn't my favorite experience, being petrified of snakes, but it's okay. So that was exciting. And then Indonesia, we did a lot of hiking there, and my favorite hike was actually a sunrise hike. So we woke up at I think 3 in the morning, drove an hour, and then hiked up a volcano slash mountain. For the sunrise. So we got to sit there and enjoy food at the top of the summit and just watch the sunrise. So I think those two moments were kind of separated themselves from the rest of the trip, and just hold a special place in my heart.
What scenario puts you within a couple feet of a poisonous snake and a poisonous scorpion?
So the scorpion just happened to actually be on the street somewhere. Like we were going from our hotel to the main street and there's a little walking path and it was just hanging out, not doing something. The snake was in a hiking trail to a waterfall. Luckily we had a tour guide there who had been doing it for years and he said, yeah, yeah, don't worry, I know where to look. And he pointed it out. So thank God we could go around it, and he knew what he was doing, so that was good. But yeah, Danae gets a crack out of this every time she thinks about it. But I was shaking in my boots. I was so scared. But yeah, no, she had a good laugh out of that one. But yeah,
I was gonna say, are there snakes in Canada?
no, garden snakes maybe, but other than that,
Yeah.
not really. Yeah,
And now you're from Ontario, and
yeah.
so I don't know if you knew this going into this conversation, but I've had a connection to Canada since I was a little boy. And let me see if I can grab it's all over the studio, but let me grab it like this to just let something be very known. It's 3 words, but I think it brings my clarity.
Ah, yes, of course, of course.
So I've been a Raptor fan since the beginning of the beginning of the beginning. So I have to ask you, are you being from Ontario, are you Raptored out? Are you Toronto fan all the way across the spectrum of whatever? But where do you stand? Are you a Raptor fan? I know, I mean, you're playing the sport of basketball. We just found out that there is going to be a WNBA franchise starting in 2026 in Toronto. So would love to get your thoughts on Toronto, Ontario, Canada having a professional women's basketball team. And I selfishly want to know if you're a Raptor fan.
Yeah, I definitely am a Raptors fan. Have been since I was little. I will always play that memory of Kawhi Leonard's shot in my brain for as long as I live. Like that was the peak of Canada, I think, that exact moment. I'm very excited for the WNBA team. I know a lot of people in that circuit and even just people in the organization, I think that will do a great job and will really show, everyone what Canada can do and kind of bring to the table. So I think that's exciting for sure. And don't watch a lot of Maple Leafs, but I'll support them if they go far. And but I was rooting for the Oilers this year, but it's all right, maybe next time. But yeah, definitely try and support Canadian teams as much as I can, even if I don't watch every game. But yeah,
Well, you gave the correct answer when you said that you're a Raptor fan.
yeah, yeah.
So
There you go.
now, when it comes to being in Canada and calling that home, you're not too far away in upstate New York. I'm sure the cold and the snow makes you feel all at home as well. But to represent Canada to me is it's really important. And knowing that it's just a few hours away, I've been all different parts of Canada, but like I said, I mean, I've defended the Raptors since they announced the logo in 1994 and came into the league in 95. So having that be your home, having Ontario be your home, Canada be your home, what has that meant to you throughout your life to represent that country? and to know that there's this unique relationship between the United States and Canada, that there is this National Basketball Association and the Women's National Basketball, but there is representation from your country. So just what it means for you to be Canadian and to rep it the way that you rep it. And I know that that's a long-winded question, but I love Canada. So
Yeah, no, so do I. Yeah, I definitely am proud to be Canadian. Like you said, it's where I'm from. It's all I've ever known, really, before coming here for school and basketball. Yeah, and it's just a different type of opportunity and honor to be able to, I have played for different teams in the past that was able to represent my country, and just that feeling is unmatched. And like you said, it's very similar to the United States, but it still will always be different in a little way for me because that's my home. And um, yeah, just the memories I have growing up, and the people I've met, and the opportunities it's given me, and even now with these new teams uh, being brought to Canada, it's exciting, and the Olympics are coming up, so I will be wearing my Maple Leafs for all that, and hopefully we get to represent ourselves even more. But yeah, I'm definitely a proud Canadian, and I do love being there when I get the chance.
coming here from Jadyn Weltz on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Heritage Hill Studios in this edition of the Bearcat Breakroom, Binghamton University Bearcats women's basketball guard. Jadyn, it's time to play rapid fire. We can literally ask each other anything in the world. Doesn't have to be sports related. We do have to answer it. You, as a student athlete, never get to ask questions. So I'm going to give you the first opportunity. You can ask me whatever you want.
What is your favorite food?
Oh, well, I can say that I had no idea what poutine was, and then I found out what it was, and it's incredible. But
Yeah.
my favorite food, jeepers, I honestly, I like things that the more you could put in it, the better. So I would probably say like nachos, for the reality that I love making them at home. I do homemade guac. I season the chicken myself. So I think you can always like stack nachos. You can never have enough, and you can like do whatever you want to do with them. So I'm gonna say nachos because you can put chicken on them, beef, shrimp, obviously lettuce, cheese, black beans, olives, jalapenos. There's a lot of good things that you could do with it. I like I like when the more the better to the party. I'm not a picky eater, so I'm probably gonna say nachos just because a good pile of them that you make at home, that like you can, that they're healthier obviously for you when you're making them at home. I I I think that that's a really good snack and or meal. So I'll pick nachos.
Good choice. I like it. I like it.
I know you like food and you've made mention of it a couple times. So I'm going to hit you with this one. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the rest of your life. You one breakfast, one lunch, one dinner. Anything can be on the plate. It doesn't have to be one specific thing. But I want to know if you could only eat one breakfast, one lunch, one dinner every single day, what would it be?
Oh, that's tough. Okay. Breakfast, I'm gonna go with like an acai bowl or like a smoothie bowl.
Okay.
Um, to get specific, toppings would be banana, peanut butter, granola, and coconut flakes.
Okay.
Could eat it every day. Lunch is very tough. I'm not a huge lunch lover, so it's really whatever I got available. But I'll go with maybe like a, I don't know, some sort of like, I'm gonna go with either a chicken sandwich, or like maybe a burrito bowl of some kind, or a bowl of some kind. Yeah, I'm not sure. And dinner, I would go with every day for the rest of my life. Some sort of pasta. I'm not sure what that answer is, but like maybe like some spaghetti and meatballs one night, and I don't know. I'm gonna go with pasta. Yeah.
All right. Well, being Hispanic and Italian, you and I both gave answers that fit both categories. So, but I will say the breakfast bowl that you said, everything about that is yes. You said banana,
Yeah.
peanut butter, oats, coconut flakes. That is 100% a correct answer.
Yeah, thank you. I thought so.
What's your second question for me?
Um, oh, this is on topic, but if you could travel to any place in the world, where would it be and why?
Well, I think after hearing about Thailand and Indonesia a little bit, I probably would want to go there to be completely honest. But I would also say that I know I've said this before, but I mean, it's my answer. I want to go to Spain and Italy. I want to see my family and I want to know where we came from. I've been in touch with my family from Spain. So I would definitely love to see where it all started for my family, what they're up to, what they're doing, and build connection. Heritage is really important to me, so that's a really easy answer for me.
Awesome.
My
Nice.
question, thank you. My question back to you, I've never asked this before. Canada is known as being a nice nation. What part of Canada is the meanest?
uh, oh gosh, this could get really, I could get canceled, I feel like, if I say the wrong thing. I don't know. I like to think many people I've met are really, really nice. Like, I've never really had too many terrible interactions in my life. I don't know. Maybe I'll just go as a generic statement. I'll go as the bigger cities. Like I just feel like like kind of like New York City. How there's always so much going on that everybody's in a rush and you kind of don't have time to slow down ever. So maybe I'll just, as a generic statement, go with like bigger cities in Canada, because everyone's just stressed out, I think.
I wanted you to like be like, when you go to Winnipeg.
Yeah. No, I can't give an exact spot, but I would say bigger cities, just because there's always so much at stake and everybody's always rushing around.
Okay, that's fair. I always say that Toronto is New York City if it smelled good and people were nicer. What is your and so many people have dogs in Toronto as well. What is your final question for me?
If you could have one superpower, what would it be and why?
I love superheroes. So, and I was in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 as an extra in Andrew Garfield's movie. So,
Oh, that's cool.
and Spider-Man is my favorite, but I will say I've always felt a connection with angels, so I want to have wings. Either that or teleportation. I would love the opportunity to be here right now and then just like close my eyes and, I'm hiking in
Yeah.
Indonesia. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how crazy
Yeah.
would that be to be able to do something? And you and I talked about how much we love food. Think about if we could just blink and be in Italy eating pasta, blink again and be in Thailand, blink again and be,
Oh man. Life
eating,
would be good.
right,
Life would be
barbecue in
so good.
Texas and shit like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we need to do something like teleportation Tuesdays or something like that, where we can figure out a way to get an NIL deal where you and I can do a food show and travel and get to try the food.
No, I would do that. I would do that in a heartbeat. Sign me up right now. Seriously, that's
So,
my dream. It's just to try every different, culture's food and stuff like that. But
well,
yeah,
and I love cooking and I love doing like I do this thing called More Than a Broadcaster. So I think I think if we can find some way to work this in, I think a teleportation thing where we could go get food is that would be the way to go to try the
yeah.
world's food. Hmm. My last question for you has got to be about this in some way. So you've been to Indonesia, you've been to Thailand, obviously you grew up in Canada, you're in New York. What is one place that you would want to go to, either in the States or out of the States? A place that you want to go to for a specific food. So somebody has told you something, you've read something, you've seen something. Tell me the place, tell me the food that you haven't had yet that you want to.
Oh, that stuff. I okay. So I love Italian food and I love Greek food, but I thankfully have been able to visit both those places, and I would go back in a heartbeat to enjoy that again. But somewhere I've never been, I would say either Spain or maybe like Vietnam would be interesting to taste, or maybe like Japan for Japanese cuisine. Yeah, something like that. One of those three. Maybe, yeah, Spain. Maybe I'll go Spain and Japan.
I can tell you that I had a Spanish seafood salad, and I just got it saying I wasn't in Spain. It was Spain inspired from something that Walt Disney World does. And I had this seafood salad that just so happened to have octopus in it. And it was really, really good. And people didn't
Yeah,
want to eat it because they didn't like the look of it. But it was like it was genuinely it was meaty. It wasn't like
yeah.
slimy or anything. And ever since I've had octopus from there, I'm like, man, I would jump at the opportunity to have octopus again.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a strong believer of don't knock it till you try it. And like I've said, I've loved food and I'm not picky at all. I won't say I don't like something until I've given it a couple chances. And there's been a lot of times like on these trips, especially that I kind of look at something, I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna really like that, but I tried and I love it. So you never know until you try, really.
Yeah, you don't. It's you got to give it a shot. That's why I always like I know when I'm around picky eaters.
Yeah.
And when I'm around them and they're like, where do you want to go for dinner? Whether it's family, friends, I literally just tell them, pick a place and let me know because the energy and time that it will take me
Yeah.
to hear you say no, because I mean, I can eat anywhere and really honestly try almost anything, which I have. And I feel like when you do, as you know this, when you're open to trying things, your palate expands, your life expands, and in all honesty, you get to try really good food that most people probably were too afraid to try. So all I'm saying is be open, people. Jadyn Weltz
Yeah.
here with us. Thailand, Indonesia, the world is your oyster, especially if you want to try those. So with that said, for Jadyn Weltz, and of course, I nod as well to somebody that I also appreciate very much, Danae Bowman, to the upcoming season with women's basketball at Binghamton University. Jadyn, this has been your first Bearcat Breakroom, but I hope that we get to do this again. And time flew by, so I thank you for it, but I definitely appreciate that. And for you to have so few years on the earth, and yet you have been to so many places that people have never even dreamt of, I would say keep that personality, keep that energy, and keep traveling because I think it's really amazing to be able to share that today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, and I also hope that I get the opportunity to be here again. So keep me in mind if you ever need somebody else to chat to.
Hey, listen, 5'7" to 5'8"ers, we got to take care of that. So
Yeah.
you'll always have a
Awesome.
pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. He kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Avicolli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicolli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring Student Heaven and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York is your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. Folks, collecting cards builds a community, and the community in central and upstate New York has been so wonderful to be around, and without GG Cards and Breaks, we wouldn't have the access to this community the way that we do. It's the people. That's what it comes down to. You heard me talk about it today on the show. It's all about relationships. And when it comes to Josh Gideon and Anthony Campbell and the team, relationships are paramount. Being good to your guests that come through the door, not treating them as customers, but treating them as guests, and understanding that knowing your craft, loving your craft, and celebrating your craft helps to bring other people in. That welcoming atmosphere is something that I have been very happy that listeners and viewers have gone to. My family has gone to. My friends have gone to. And, of course, I frequent it. Lily goes as well, my little girl. So make sure you head out to GG Cards and Breaks on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. They have everything that you need. If you've never collected before, not only do they have hockey, I put hockey and soccer together, hockey, soccer, baseball, basketball, football, all sport, AEW, UFC, Disney Lorcana, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, all of that while supplies last. They also have all the supplies you need to protect those cards. So they have different size top loaders. They have one-touch cases. They have the sleeves that you need to protect your cards as well. You can go and get a binder with the sheets there to put your cards in the binder. You could buy boxes to put your cards in those boxes, all different size boxes as well. And you have the opportunity to, through them, also just see the incredible amount of singles that they have, graded cards, and of course packs and boxes. You never know what GG Cards and Breaks is going to have in the store. And if you walk in on a Tuesday and you come back on a Thursday, something that you really wanted could be gone. Something cool could have just come in an hour ago. You never know what they're going to have there in the store. And that's been the beauty of collecting cards growing up as a kid, is that it is this world that is constantly changing and evolving. And at any given time, something really cool could come right by your eyes and catch them. And that's something that you want to bring home. It might be something you didn't even know you wanted. So make sure you head out to GG Cards and Breaks today and celebrate that and pass it down. I love seeing parents with their kids and grandparents with their grandkids and girlfriends and boyfriends and friends all going out to GG Cards and Breaks. Of course, we have trade night this Thursday, July 11th, 6:30 to 9:30 p.m., and that's going to be at the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus. So we look forward to seeing you out there with great food, great people, and, of course, an awesome time of buying, selling, and trading cards. If you don't have any cards, totally fine. You don't have to bring anything. And if you do have cards that you like to bring to buy, sell, and trade, well, then make sure that you pack them up in the car and head out to the Wildcat this Thursday, July 11th, from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. With that being said here, and I also want to let everybody know, GG Cards and Breaks store is open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5. And they are closed on Mondays through the summer, all the way up to Labor Day, and then we'll be back open on Monday again. So, with that being said, it is time for our final piece inside of the Heritage Hill Studios, hanging out with you where sports meets life. We have the ingredients to success coming up here, proudly presented by the wonderful team at Avicolli's. And speaking on being closed on Mondays, they're about to be open on Mondays. On Monday, July 15th, They will officially now be open 7 days a week. If you've been out to Avicolli's, first and foremost, thank you for supporting local and supporting our wonderful community. They will be open now, which I am so excited about. They're going to be open on Mondays, so they will now be open Monday through Sunday at Avicolli's. You can go there for lunch, dinner, and drinks. Of course, if you're drinking, be of age and always drink responsibly. They're there on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, right at the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road. Route 57 is AKA Oswego Road. So that Oswego Road and Wetzel Road, they're right at the corner of that. So you can find them there at Avicolli's, and they have their wonderful pizza side where you can go and you can enjoy their awesome kind of casual dining. Then they have their fine dining for different events that you have going on. If you're on a date, whatever it may be, you could go out and see them on their more fine dining side, and then they have their bar there. And while the weather stays beautiful outside, you can, of course, go and sit on their patio at Avicolli's on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York. And, of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. You can also go to myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. So make sure you head out there today. The ingredients to success topic that we're focusing on this morning is let them go. Let them go is the topic that I want to share with you today. What do I mean by that? Well, we all have times in life where somebody that we appreciate, that we love, that matters a lot to us, maybe we don't matter the same to them. And we have to let them go. It could be family, it could be friends, it could be anybody. And welcome here to my mom. Always appreciate the support of a beautiful and wonderful mother. Beautiful inside and out. I hope she knows that. She should always know that. You're beautiful, Mom. You're a wonderful person. And your positivity moves mountains, so make sure to always be positive, Mama. When you look at the world and you look at things that happen in life, right? I had this conversation last night, and it's very difficult in life to say goodbye to people that you care about. But it's also very healthy to be out of bad situations. So when I say let them go and the ingredients to success, well, what are the ingredients of letting them go? Well, first and foremost, you have to differentiate between the relationships that are give and take and the relationships that are just give on your side. If you're in a one-sided relationship, a one-side street, it could be a friend, it could be a coworker, it could be a neighbor, it could be romantic, could be family, it could be whoever. But when you're in a relationship and it is a whole lot of you and not really much of them, it's like every day they won the lottery and and you're the lottery, right? You're the lottery that they keep winning, but you're not winning anything yourself. You have to differentiate between the relationships that give back to you and the relationships that only take. We're all going to have them. I might be sitting here talking to you right now and you're thinking about one you have. Dan, I got 5 close friends and 4 of them are great. But there's this one person that it's always about them. The conversation is always about them. They monopolize everything. And I feel like I'm like a guest star in their TV show. It's always featuring them, and I'm just kind of there in the credits. You have to differentiate between what relationships are giving and what relationships are just taking from you. And one of the hardest things to realize in life is that blood is not thicker than water. Blood really has nothing to do with it. You know, I grew up as a kid feeling that I had to, not even feeling, I was taught. I was literally indoctrinated in my family into believing that your family has a get out of jail free card at all times. It doesn't matter what they do to you. It doesn't matter what they say to you. It doesn't matter how they treat you. It doesn't matter the disrespect. It doesn't matter the abuse. It doesn't matter the negativity. If they are your blood, you have to take it. You got to take it with a smile and act like you're okay with it, and you got to be fine with it. And whether you like it or not, they're your family, so suck it up and deal with it. In the same respect, those people also taught me your friends and the people that you date, you don't have to give that to. If they disrespect you, if they're negative, if they treat you poor, if you're dating someone who treats you poorly, who constantly is taking from you but not giving to you, who doesn't respect you, who abuses you, then leave them. If you have friends that don't treat you with respect and dignity and they don't care about you, leave them. So I was brought up that if it's blood, you have to take all of the abuse and negativity. If it's not blood, then you'd be stupid to take the abuse and negativity. And as I got older, I started thinking to myself, isn't abuse wrong all the time? Isn't negativity wrong all the time? Aren't one-sided relationships wrong all the time? And when I started to buck this and combat this with honest, factual thoughts, of course, the people that were indoctrinating me in my family, and it wasn't many, just a few, but the people that were indoctrinating me in my family were offended. And the more I questioned their rule and their tyranny, the more I got pushed out of their treehouse. Now I'm completely out of the treehouse, and I'm really happy to be out of the treehouse because it had bees in it and spiders and snakes. But when you look at life, you have to think about how you kind of grow up and what you kind of learn. And, you know, we're not always taught the right thing. I think the mistake, not a mistake, but when you're growing up as a kid, you know, we put a lot of pressure on our parents. And I don't think we talk about this enough, but we put a lot of pressure on our parents because we think that adults know better, right? When you're a kid, you think if an adult tells you something, you're supposed to do it, which is how some abuse happens in life. How a lot of abuse happens, honestly, is because we trust adults. We trust adults to lead us, to guide us, to make the right decisions, to tell us what we're supposed to do. So when you grow up with the notion of blood gets away with murder, non-blood gets away with nothing, you start to allow people to take advantage of you. And it sets up a weird dynamic where you're sticking up for yourself sometimes. But what actually ends up happening is when you're taught that certain people get a get out of jail free card, it starts to spill into everything. And when I look back at the indoctrination of people in my family telling me that blood is thicker than water, and if someone in your family is mean to you, you need to apologize to them. If somebody hurts you, you need to be nice to them, and the whole respect your elders. Now, I do believe that there should be mutual respect among people, but I don't think it has anything to do with age. I've met people that are little kids, 14 years old, that I shouldn't say I met them. My little brother Miguel, when I spend time with him, when he was 14 years old, because I've known him pretty much his whole life, he's given me advice when he was 14 that was better than, you know, somebody that's maybe 40, 50, 60 years old giving me advice. So I don't think that respect your elders is correct. I think that needs to be erased from history. I don't think it's about respect your elders. I think the part of it that I'll take is like if you see an older person struggling, because as you get older and your body has the wear and tear on it, you know, respect that person and help that person. Don't yell at them when they're driving, you know, help them to their car when they're at the grocery store type of thing, carry their groceries. I understand that. But see, I don't look at that as respect your elders. I look at that as help people. I would help someone who's 14, 20, 40, 80, if they were struggling with groceries. I would help anybody in that sense. If I saw a little kid that needed help, I would help a little kid. If I saw an 80-year-old man that needed help, I'd help an 80-year-old man. If I saw a 40-year-old mom that was trying to put 20 bags of groceries in the car, I would help her the same way I'd help the 80-year-old man or the little kid. So, but I grew up in a family where some people were like, you have to respect your elders. And what I realized as I got older is that was an argument that people used in order to continue to abuse people, because it's an argument that the younger people can never win. When you're an older person and you know that you're not necessarily doing the right thing, or you've pathologically lied to yourself that nothing you do is wrong, when you're talking to someone younger than you and you say respect your elders, you now have created a scenario where that person, no matter what you do to them, if they believe respect your elders, they're going to respect you no matter what, and they're never going to be able to get out of that if they continue to believe what you've taught them, because they're always going to be younger than you. See, and I've said that to people in my family before. I said, you can't look at me, treat me poorly, and say, well, you're supposed to respect me, I'm older than you. Because that's an argument that I'm never going to win. There's never going to be a time where I'm older than you. Right? If you were born first, I'm not going to be older than you. And the older I've gotten, the more I've taken care of myself. And the more I've taken care of myself, the more I've lost certain members of my family. And I sit here and I say to myself, well, I sleep fine every night. I'm not guilty of anything. I have a very big conscience. So if I've done something wrong, I will apologize, because it'll be on my brain until I do. And these people, I've done nothing to them. I have said nothing to them. I've done nothing to them. And it just brought up this conversation, because you know that wake-up call is real. Everything I do is real. We're not here to have fabricated conversations. I'm not here to take an opinion so that people will hate me and then they'll watch the show because they hate the fact that I have that opinion. I'm not trying to be a lightning rod. I'm not trying to create a falsified narrative just to get clicks and likes. I am who I am on the air, and off the air is the same person. And I value that. Again, that's why I think I am where I am in my life, because when you're an honest, caring, God-fearing person, I feel like God will always lift up those that are trying to do right by him. And it may take time, but it happens. And I've lived it. You know, I can't say that God has ever not been there for me. I can't say that. But I've struggled with the family aspect of blood is thicker than water, because when you meet me, if you're a total stranger to me and they say, do you have any siblings? I say, I don't have any biological siblings. But just like somebody would consider a sibling, like if someone's adopted, if they're your brother, they're your brother, they're your sister, they're your sister. I have brothers and sisters because my friends and I have adopted each other as family. They are more there for me than the people in my family that abused me into this blood is thicker than water. And, you know, when I wake up in the morning, I thank God for my life. I thank God for waking me up. I could do a better job at that. But if I was going to look up at God right now and say, thank you for my brothers, it's Isaac, it's Jimmer, it's Rob, it's Johnny, it's Joey, it's Ross, it's, you know, it's Erin as a sister, because she has been incredible, Johnny's wife, and I consider us to be friends. She's not just Johnny's wife to me, and I value that a lot. You know, those to me, those are brothers. To Jason, you know, I have people that I consider to be very, very close to me, and Enrico to me very much so, and so when you have those family members that are like brothers to you, and sisters to you, when you have those people, they've never said to me, well, you have to accept me. You have to respect me because I'm older. You have to take my BS because we're family. That's never been a conversation. See, the majority of I'm 38 years old. The majority of the family that I have today, be it adopted into my family or friends that have become family, or businesses that I work with, the owners, when I look at the people that I consider family, the people that I would do anything for, that I believe would do anything for me, the overwhelming majority of those people are not blood. And that wasn't by choice. That's, to me, the people that show up are the people that show up. Your family, blood or not, are the people that know who you are, know why you are. They're the people that appreciate you. They're the people that pay attention to you. They're the people that you don't have to jog their memory on it. I love Mark, Mark Walczyk. And when you have people in your life that you don't have to keep proving yourself to, keep showing yourself to, keep begging for them to love you and to be around you. When you realize that your family is the people that it's easy around, it's the people that you laugh with. I have my parents, and I have a second set of parents, and I'm not ashamed of that, and I'm not going to hide that, because I'm going to have one life, and I believe that there's a heaven. I know there is. I have one life on this earth. So if Mary and Papa Joe are another set of parents to me, then I'm going to tell them that, because they should know, and when I get off the phone with my brothers, I tell them I love them. I talked to Isaac last night. Last thing I say every time when I get off the phone, I say, I love you, bro. I say, I love you too. Call up Rob, love you, bro. He always says, love you, kid. Joey and I say that we love each other, and we use like Kevin Hart jokes back and forth every time. His nickname, my nickname. Jason told me last year, or the year before, he said, you're my best friend. And him and I are brothers, but I had no idea that he considered me that, and I'm honored. I'm an uncle to his son in heaven, and his daughters here on earth that I hope live to be 100+ years old. They're wonderful kids, Carly and Gracie, and Carter up in heaven. And I feel very thankful that I have the life that I have. And so I don't think we need to hide from stuff anymore, folks. And I don't want you to. So the topic for the ingredients to success today, proudly presented by Avicolli's, is let them go. And what I mean by that is, if somebody's in your life and they don't love you and they constantly stress you out and it's always about them and it's never about you and them, if you feel like you're always auditioning for them, if you feel like there's a different set of rules for them than there is for you, I'm going to be plain and simple with you. Any type of abuse is wrong. There is no such thing as I'm older than you, so you have to put up with me. There's no such thing as that. People might say it to you, but that doesn't make it true. But as a kid, again, going back to my original thought, when you're a kid, when an adult tells you something, you think it's true, especially when you're little. If an adult tells you, you have to respect me because I'm your elder. And that's a blanket statement. Whether I'm nice to you, mean to you, whether I abuse you, whether I build you up or cut you down, whether I respect you, disrespect, whatever I do to you, you have to love me. When that's taught to a child, that child is going to allow themselves to be abused by strangers. That child is going to be in relationships that are toxic. I was. So what I realized from my family that was teaching me these things within my family is that they were actually teaching me how not to love myself. They were teaching me how not to stick up for myself. They were teaching me how to be a pawn in a chess game. They were essentially teaching me how to be a rabbit in a cage. And as long as they cleaned my cage and they fed me, I owed them something. So why do I bring this up today? Because life is so important. I'm 21, I blink, I'm 38. And I love my life, and I've lived such an amazing life, and I think every day for me is a tremendous journey. I mean, yesterday, I'm working with my dad cleaning my basement because I got water in the basement, and that last little bit of carpet that we had to pull up, I was not letting that carpet not come from my hands. I was not going to, that last bit of carpet was going to come from me. And I grabbed it and I pulled it with my muscles and I just lifted it out. I said to myself, there is nothing that's going to stop me from this. I honestly felt like I was in a ring in WWE and I was going to yell out loud, right? Flex and yell. I was just like, this is not getting the best of me. And when you value your time and you value your days, and I'm not perfect, I have made plenty of mistakes, But you realize that having a lunch with someone who doesn't care about you, and you go, wow, it's just one lunch a year. It's not worth it. Stop doing it. You don't owe anybody anything. It doesn't mean you're not a good Samaritan. It doesn't mean that you didn't turn the other cheek. It doesn't mean that you don't care. It doesn't mean that you're not following God. God didn't tell you to be stupid. I don't think there's anywhere in the Bible where God said, I want you to be abused. I like that you're getting abused, and I support that. I don't think that there's a place in the Bible where God said, if they're older than you, you need to take their abuse. I don't think God said your family is only your blood. Because if that's the case, we wouldn't be children of God, right? Because are we all related back to Jesus's lineage? I mean, let's be real. God adopted us. So if we're adopted people and God above all says, you are my kids. If God's family is not blood, if God's family is not biological, then who is someone to come into your life and tell you that your family has to be your blood and that it can't be made up of the people that love you the most? That is idiotic to me. The people that love you the most are your family. I feel more love going to Johnny and Aaron's house than I ever feel even being around for 5 minutes some people in my family. Standing next to them, the energy is negative. Going into Johnny and Aaron's house, I feel like I belong there. I feel like I grew up there. I have people in my family that know absolutely nothing about anything in my life of the last decade. And then I have Johnny and Aaron who for Christmas didn't have to buy me anything, bought me a gift. I am Noah's godfather, and I am Sequoia, Dakota, Noah, and Ari's uncle. And they bought me a blanket that is a mural of pictures of me with the kids and with my dog. And it says, the people that love me most call me Uncle Dan. And when I saw that, it meant the world to me. And my brain thought two things. I said, how can I be nothing to these people that I grew up around, that I spent the holidays with, but I could be everything to these people who were strangers 10 years ago? And the reality of it all is, to some people, you matter. And to some people, you don't. And that's a really hard thing to take in, but it's true. To some people, you matter, and to some people, you don't. And we live in a world where if we don't have likes and clicks, we think we don't matter, and that's not true. Well, I only got 2 likes, Dan. I need to get 1,000. Well, what about the value of the 2 people that liked you? I just had Shaun on the show this morning, and Shaun will show up on my social media, and he'll like a post out of nowhere. And I noticed that. And there could be 1,000 people. It could be 300 people. It could be 1 person. But I notice when he does it. And there's certain people that I notice when they do it because the content of their character, because the value of our relationship. When I see that love and support, I go, wow, those people are consistent. So what are the ingredients of letting somebody go? Well, first, you have to be honest with yourself. Second, you have to think about what you were taught versus what reality is, because what you're taught is not necessarily factual and is not necessarily the truth. And now more than ever in today's society, have we not learned that if somebody teaches us something, it doesn't necessarily mean it's true, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's good. There's a lot of media out there that are all about indoctrination. I am not here. I have never once told you what to do. I didn't say you have to do this or else. I tell you who I am and what I believe in, and I tell you the facts behind the opinions that I have, and you make your own decisions. I have disagreed with people throughout my life, and some of the best conversations I've ever had with people that I disagreed with were with people that I disagreed with, and we were calm. We didn't swear. We didn't yell. We didn't call each other names. And if for nothing else, I'm grateful that someone is so passionate and that someone took that. They value me and our relationship to take the time with me, and they value what they believe in, and I learned something from them. Even if I don't walk away believing what they believe, I learned something. I got a nugget of knowledge or wisdom or understanding. Now I know where they come from. There's people that I have had countless conversations with, and I'm nothing like that person, but they taught me something. And so when you're looking at letting somebody go, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to know that everything you were taught doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. You have to discover things for yourself. Yeah, I don't believe in God because my parents made me. My parents brought me to church, but I don't believe in God because my parents made me. My parents have not brought me to church, like put me in their car and made me go to church in over a decade. My parents haven't made me go to church since I went to college. It's 20 years ago. But I go to church, and I pray every day, and I talk to God all throughout the day. God is not some giant man sitting in a chair somewhere to me. He is literally a friend that I never hang up with. I just turn the phone on and I leave it on all day. He's not on mute. I'm not on mute. The conversation's always going. God and I have a 24-hour phone call every day for the most part. And did my parents help me with my faith? Yeah. But then when my parents did things that maybe I didn't agree with, it didn't make me not love God. You know, my dad and I are different men, and that didn't change my relationship with God. If anything, it pushed me closer to God. And when I got water in my basement last week, that pushed me closer to God. And that's how you know that your faith is growing. When you can say that things are happening in your life that are stressful and adversity and difficult and not ideal, and it makes you love God more. It makes you stronger. It makes you feel safer. It makes you feel more at ease. I feel closer to God through turmoil. And that was not always the case. That's how you grow your faith. When you start to love God when something doesn't go right. You know, and so being honest with yourself is an ingredient. Knowing that just because you're younger than somebody doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean they have more wisdom. That's honestly ridiculous. Having more years on the earth doesn't mean that you've gained wisdom. There are people that have lived on this earth for many years and have not listened to one piece of advice, and they haven't learned anything. I had a friend that we were friends, and then we weren't, and then we were, and then we weren't, and then we were, and then we weren't. And every time I spent enough time with them, I realized this person isn't growing. They might be growing in a certain area, but there's a part of them that is always going to let me down. And it doesn't matter when I meet them. It doesn't matter when I'm around them. It doesn't matter what the situation. It doesn't matter where they live or where they work or what's happened in their life or what they've lost or what they've gained. This person is always this way. And it wasn't healthy. So I just walked away from it. You know, you have to have courage. And courage doesn't mean that you're not afraid. And courage doesn't mean that you don't feel weak. Courage means that no matter what is in front of you, I'm going to face it. I have to. David knew how big Goliath was. But David was like, enough's enough. I am not going to bow down. You are not better than me. We're both created by God. I don't owe you anything. And if I need to get beyond you and you're blocking it, I need to find a way to get there. I'm not going to let you keep me from my dreams and my aspirations. I'm not going to let you keep me from the best version of myself. When you let somebody go, it's not an overnight thing. It takes time. And I was shamed by someone I thought was my best friend. I was shamed. Every time I took somebody out of my life, he shamed me. And I got to a point where I said to myself, Why am I giving you a reason? Why am I apologizing? Why am I coming to you like you're God and that I owe you something? You're my best friend. You know what this person's done to me. You asking me to keep that person in my life is like asking me to stick my hand in the fire and hold it there, hoping to not get burned. God says, if you walk through the fire, I'm with you. But he doesn't say you're not going to get burned. He doesn't say, yeah, go stand in the fire all day. And letting somebody go is a really, really hard thing to do when you're a loving, caring person. And I had this conversation with somebody that I love last night. I said, please understand, it's been over a decade, and these people have had nothing to do with me, nothing to do with anyone I love. They don't even know the people that I care about the most. They know nothing about my life, nothing about my career, nothing about who I work with, nothing about what I do, nothing about my travels, nothing about anything that matters to me for the most part. And yet it's hard for me to let them go because I love them. And when you're a loving and caring person, you don't have to stop loving somebody. You can pray for them. I don't want you to hate somebody. When I say let them go, it doesn't mean go from love to hate. It means even if you love them, let the toxicity go. One of the greatest quotes that I've ever seen, and I shared it on my social media, and if you go on Instagram at wakeupcall_DT, I try to put something up every day, and I try to put up inspirational stuff every week. I came across this thing, and I just thought it was great. And this young girl says to this man who's, I'm going to guess maybe 50, something like that. This young girl who's maybe a teenager, she said, how much disrespect do I take from a friend or family member before, I walk away, before I end the relationship? And the man says to the girl, how much poison do you take until you die? And everything I've been dealing with in a decade was summed up in literally 2 sentences. How much disrespect do I take from a friend or family member until I walk away? How much poison do you take until you die? So when I'm asking you to let somebody go, I'm not telling you to be mean to them. I'm not telling you to swear at them, yell at them. I'm not telling you to do an eye for an eye and give the abuse back. I'm not telling you to hate those people. I'm saying to you that if something in your life is not bearing fruit, you have to let it go. What did Shaun say? He said one of his biggest challenges was teaching in the city. And he said, as much as we want to believe that everyone can be saved, not everybody can be saved. As much as you want to save everyone, not everyone can be saved. And when he said that, I could feel the pain in that, because to me, I would want to save everybody too. And I realized in my life that I was dating women that I was trying to save. More often than not, I was dating women that had no relationship with God. And through me, they were at least exposed to a relationship with God. And some of them gained a relationship with God. But in order for them to have a relationship with God or even be open to it, I had to be ripped to shreds every single time. Every single time. And if that's God's will for me, if his whole will was, hey, Daniel, I'm going to break you and make you again because I need these people to come back to me. If that ultimately is the reason that I find out at the end of my life that God got more followers and I had to be hurt in order for that to happen, then God hurt me every time. Seriously. If it gets more people to heaven, I've proven that I'm always going to be put back together again. I would prefer to not be in those situations, but if God is using me for good, then what am I going to complain about? If I'm a vessel for God, then I take that as a compliment and I will do the good that he needs me to do, as hard as it is. But that's a difficult thing in life. It's a difficult thing to consistently put yourself in a situation where you know you're going to be hurt and you know you're going to be let down and you know it's not going to be good enough. And so when I say to you, walk away, I'm not saying to you, don't try. I'm not saying to you, don't care. I'm not saying to you, treat people in a mean and horrible way. And I'm not telling you to give them back what they give to you. I'm saying to you that how much poison do you take until you die? Because the answer is simple. If you take one sip of poison, like if I took this drink right now, if I took this rain right now, I'd take a little sip. Right? Or I take a big sip. I'm still drinking it. You know, my Aunt Mary, my other mom, she said that to me a long time ago. She said whether it's a family member, a girlfriend, a friend, a business partner, if they feed you poison, you will die no matter who gives it to you. So why would you accept poison from a family member and then not accept it from a stranger? Poison is poison, right? But I was raised that poison is poison, but if a family member gives it to you, then you're supposed to take it. Whether or not you die was inconsequential to that family member because you had to respect them enough to take the poison, which sounds insane. And it is insane, but it's what I was taught when I was a little kid. When you're 4 years old, 7 years old, and people are like, hey, no matter what I do to you, you got to suck it up and take it. But if somebody does it to you down the street, don't ever take it. That doesn't make any sense. You're essentially you're training somebody to accept abuse sometimes, which eventually is accepting abuse all the time. And when they said, accept the abuse from me, but don't accept the abuse from somebody else that's not in your family, what ended up happening is I started to accept abuse from everybody. Because if you accept it in one part of your life, it creeps into every part. They say that hate is like a drop in your heart. That if your heart was clear and you take one drop of hate, and let's say that that's a blue dye, and you take one drop of blue in a clear heart, wake up the next morning, the entire heart is blue. Because that one drop of dye, that one sip of poison, you don't need to have 10 drops. You don't need to have a giant gulp of the poison. One drop. One drop of poison can kill you. One drop of dye can change the color of everything. And learning that, the sooner you learn it, I hope I'm talking to kids right now that are 10 years old, that are 14 years old. I hope I'm talking to somebody right now in college. Or talking to somebody right now at the relationship where they're like, do I marry this person? Do I not marry this person? And there's a lot of toxicity. I hope I'm getting to someone today that can make a change earlier than I did. Because if I can help somebody make a better decision for their life quicker than I did, then to me, that's a win. I can't go back in time and change my life and go, you know what? I needed to unlearn this a long time ago. But at the same time, when a kid is taught something and you are a sponge, that's why they say hate is taught and love is taught. Because it is taught. A kid doesn't know. They have God inside of them. They have their conscience, that voice of God. But if you teach a child to hate, you teach a child to love, they're going to learn those things. And I don't know how long it would have taken me as a kid to get rid of it. But I know if I had somebody talking about it, it might help me to see it's not just me, and it might help me to make a change. So if I can do that for you today, watching and listening, then let me. I hope that I do. Because if we can somehow help another person to not go through the pain and turmoil that I went through, then all the better this world is if another person can have a better life. And I have a great life. I have a great life. I went through a lot of pain that was unnecessary. And I still do at times because I do love my family. And it's very, very hard to cut off your blood. But again, how much poison do you take until you die? You know, if your aunt hands you poison that you wouldn't take from a guy in an alley, why would you take it from your aunt? Well, she loves me. Yeah, but it's poison. You could see that it is. And you have to eventually learn from that. It's a really tough thing to let people go, especially when you're a loving, caring person. And my mom is a loving and caring woman. And I'm not perfect. My mom's not perfect. But my mom is the type of person where, like, you know, somebody hurts her and hurts her and hurts her and hurts her. And then that person is hurting somewhere. And my mom goes and helps them. And I look at my mom and I'm like, you've told me about 14 different instances where this person treated you so poorly. And my mom will look at me and go, yeah, but she needs me. And that's God. That's not my mom saying I accept the stuff that they did to me. That's not my mom saying I like the stuff they did to me. That's not my mom saying I'm going to allow myself to be abused again. That's my mom saying, despite everything that they've done to me, this person needs help. And I know that they need help, and I can't sit idly by and not help them. And I respect that. Now, I wouldn't be happy if my mom went back into that relationship and got abused again. But I will never fault my mother for putting her hand out to somebody that's drowning. Because I, like my mom, cannot watch somebody drown. Even if they would not even blink for me drowning. I would never, ever let somebody drown on my watch just standing there looking at them. I couldn't. I'd live with that for the rest of my life. And the pain that some of us feel, that I feel, is the people that I think would let me drown, some of those are my family members. Some of those are people that are first cousins, like literally right there, close as you can be. And I honestly feel like if they were on a boat and they saw me in the water drowning, they would just look at me. And even if they saved me, there would be a catch. Well, we saved you, so now you owe us something. And I would have been like, you know, I'd rather just let you let me stay in the water. It's a very hard thing to stomach, but you have to let go. And it doesn't mean you're mean, and it doesn't mean you're hateful, and it doesn't mean that you're going against God. It means that you let go. Do you think the devil sits next to God in heaven? Do you think Lucifer is right next to him? Lucifer destroyed his relationship with God, destroyed his loyalty. And God is a forgiving God. But is Lucifer asking for forgiveness? And even with forgiveness, is God going, I forgive you, come sit next to me? No. God is not a hateful God. But my question to you is, why would you keep someone in your life, family member or not, if God had one of his angels break his trust and God didn't go, yeah, come sit right here. That's cool. Your family, my family members to this day want me to grovel and beg and be by their side no matter what. And they might throw in my face, well, what would Jesus do? When God himself is not letting the devil into heaven. Does that mean that God is mean and hateful and an eye for an eye? Or does that mean that God knows that any amount of poison can kill you? That a little bit of disloyalty is a lot of disloyalty. If God himself said enough is enough, then how can somebody look to you and abuse you and say, well, you got to accept me. You believe in God. What would Jesus do? When does God in the Bible ever say, the devil has done everything in their power to hurt me and disrespect me, and I'm cool with it? At what point in the Bible does God say, I will take the abuse of the devil forever because we used to be family? I don't see that. So if God himself, the creator of all things, isn't sitting here saying, oh yeah, I love poison, I'm going to drink it up. then when somebody tells you to do it, have the knowledge and wisdom to say no thank you. It doesn't make you a bad person to walk away. Because the people that truly love you and respect you would never put you in a situation to even have to think about walking away. They want to fault you for walking away because they know that they're wrong. And if you walk away, they can't take advantage of you anymore. And bullies like to bully. When there's no one to bully, the bully has to sit in their own soot. Did you ever take a bully out of an atmosphere of bullying? They don't know what to do. They're weak. They are weak. The devil is nothing if there's no souls that turn from God. That's the only chance the devil has at gaining anything in their life, is to get you to turn. God already won. Do you not know that? God already won. How can God be less powerful than Lucifer when he created Lucifer? The creator of all things doesn't bow to anybody. God already won. Evil wants you to believe that you are not strong enough, that you can't move forward, that you can't exist, that you can't. They want you to believe you're a bad person. A narcissist will create a problem, and when you finally say enough is enough, I'm not dealing with this problem anymore, I'm not putting up with you anymore, or I'm dealing with this problem by saying goodbye, the moment you say goodbye to a narcissist, they make you the problem. I can't believe you would walk away from me. What a mean thing to do. If you let someone into your home and every home you let them into, they set a fire and they burn the house down, and you moved and they burn that house down, and you moved and you let them in and they burn that house down, how many houses are they going to burn down before you realize they shouldn't live with you? The devil isn't up in heaven with God because God isn't interested in burning it down. It doesn't make God bad. It doesn't make God mean. And it doesn't make God an eye for an eye. God gained the wisdom, the knowledge, had it, utilized it. You are not a bad person for letting go. And I really want to drive that home today, for me and for you. That letting go of a bad situation, of a toxic person, doesn't make you bad too. Would you live next to a chemical plant with biohazards? Would you breathe that air every day? Think about that every time you're in an abusive relationship, any type of relationship. Professional, personal, family, not family. Anytime you're in an abusive relationship, picture just dunking your face in acid every day. Would you do that? No, it's insane. But keeping that in your life is keeping that acid in your life. It creates stress, it creates anxiety, it creates depression, it creates hate, paranoia, negative thinking, second guessing. Nothing good comes from staying in a bad place. But knowledge and wisdom come when you leave. Never be afraid to walk away from a bad situation. Doesn't mean the person's bad, and it doesn't mean that you're not forgiving. Forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. And forgiveness doesn't mean I forgive you and I want you in my life. Sometimes forgiveness means I forgive you and I'm getting out of this thing. Don't trap yourself in somebody else's nightmare. Have the courage to move forward. And if you ever need love and you ever need prayers and you ever need somebody to talk to, y'all got my social media. You can always write a message to me. We got to help each other, right? Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. We'll take a step aside from the Heritage Hill Studios. This has been the Ingredients to Success, proudly presented by the wonderful team at Avicolli's. Go and see them on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York. We will be back right after this to wrap up today's show from inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the taste of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. I appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. YouTube.com, Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. Worldwide, you will find us, and always good to chat with you Monday through Friday from 9 to 11, and of course, to hang out with you all the time on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you got to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Find me there, and you will find over 1,800 episodes just on Podbean alone. So go and check them out today. Big time thanks to our incredible partners in Central and Upstate New York: Heritage Hill Brewhouse, Heritage Hill North, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Avicolli's, as well as Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Bryan's Landing, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, ServoMationRefreshments.com, reimagining what it's like to have vending in your business and in your area, in your school, Mother's Cupboard, Great Lakes Honda City, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, GG Cards and Breaks, Pizza Man, and of course we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find the Dolphins with our Wednesday Dolphin Time at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, exclusive only to Wake Up Call. We're the only show that has this exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Lemoyne College, and the only company that has this, bringing you consistent conversations with student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni in AD and DT and the Dolphin Dive. Find all of our content by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, find the Lemoyne playlist. You can also get a Dolphin Sunday by going to Carvel DeWitt and getting the DT Dolphin today, inspired by our partnership with the Lemoyne College Dolphins. You'll find the Dolphins on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to lemoynedolphins.com, and as always, Fins Up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse have two campuses, one on James Street in Syracuse and the other right off of Route 57 in Liverpool, across the street from Avicolli. So you know you'll always be eating good at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. Make sure that you head out there today if you're looking to continue your education, or you have some eligibility left in men's and women's soccer, men's and women's basketball, baseball, or esports. Now is the time to get in touch with an incredible gem that we have right here in our community. The Bobcats are with us every month in what's called the Bobcat Buzz, and you can find them on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, find the BSC Syracuse playlist. You'll also find the Bobcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com, and as always, go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You'll find the Bearcats, like today, every Tuesday during Bearcat Time at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, exclusive to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Nobody has a weekly segment like this with the Binghamton University Bearcats anywhere in the world. And each month we feature Moments with Marshall, with a behind-the-scenes look at the athletic department and Binghamton University in general, with Gene Marshall, the athletics director, and the Bearcat Breakroom with student athletes, coaches, and administration telling their stories and describing their journeys. We have some great stuff coming up, and we had an amazing story with Jadyn Weltz here today, and a shout out to Danae Bowman, who we also wish the best to, and to the women's basketball team in general, as well as all the sports programs at Binghamton University. Go to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find the Binghamton University playlist on our YouTube channel. You'll also find the Bearcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to bubearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, big time thanks to my amazing guests inside of Ma and Pa's What's Poppin'. Ma and Pa's is the snack capital of the world. Go see them on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Big time shout out to Shaun Smith and all of his years being with us, helping to pay it forward and give to the community and give to the kids. Big time thanks to him, the athletics director and dean of students at Bishop Ludden Junior Senior High School. And of course, many thanks to Jadyn Weltz of Binghamton University, our newest Bearcat in the Bearcat Breakroom, telling her story about going to Thailand, Indonesia, and being willing to try new things, put yourself out there, and always grow in knowledge and wisdom and have some fun. Big time thanks to Jadyn, and thank you for making me hungry, Jadyn. Awesome conversation about food as well. And speaking of food, the ingredients to success, proudly presented by Avicolli's, and today's topic of let them go. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. Have a wonderful day. God bless. No stress. Do your best. From the Heritage Hill Studios, I send y'all my love, and I pray and I hope for you always to be the best that you can be, stick up for yourself, and love yourself and one another. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and God bless you.